Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes.
And I love it. And spiral is not one dot. It's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go other than inside? And when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. Hi.
Hi.
How are you? You look refreshed. You look like you just did your makeup on. What is the lighting? Uh-huh.
Good. I think you just got back from the gym, you said.
Well, no, this morning I was at the gym, but I'm moving. So the last leg was today. And there's this like a huge bike that I have that I had to unscrew because it has this like really wide steering wheel and it won't fit my car. So I had to unscrew it. And it was a whole ordeal of like unscrewing it, fitting it in the car, and saying goodbye to the old apartment. So, but yeah, I'm glad it's done and over. Time for new.
Do you
How are
feel
you?
settled in the place?
I do. I downsized a lot because I want less stuff. And I got rid of my TV, which was massive, and the TV stand, and another piece of furniture, and a lot of books, and a lot of plants, and a lot of stuff. And I'm just so happy to cleanse and purge.
Yeah.
And the smaller, it almost feels like I can breathe into the space. And you saw it's how open it is. So it has a different energy from the previous apartment. And I almost feel the previous one was just did what it's supposed to do for the 2 years, and now it's time to go. It almost feels completed. So when I locked the door today, I was like, hasta mañana. Oh gosh, I call it a heartbreak hotel, which was done and over with it. So it lasted until it did. How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are entering a new chapter and putting myself more exposed on the internet and starting to film and getting some empathy for what Carly's been doing. Yeah, it's interesting.
What's going on? What is bringing up?
Um, it's layered, many layers. One of the layers is, of course, fear of judgment. Like everyone is aware of that. But then there's like interesting layers where I'm like, wow, like I'm presenting pretty well in this one. Like kind of more like surprised that it's going well or that I sound decent.
Mm,
And I give some credit to the equipment. But yeah, maybe it's the podcast or just I think there's layers of shadow around like shame and not believing in myself and talking down to myself. So it's
yeah.
interesting because it's like, what if it does, like what if it does work? What if it's like mega successful? And then I'll have to face that stuff head on.
And honestly, like, is this your first time exposing yourself and putting yourself out there into this like world of
To this level.
unknowns?
Yeah, to this level.
And do you feel like at least you have some comfort because we've done this already for over a year? You know, like a little bit of like,
Mhm.
okay, I can speak, I can say, I can put the sentence that makes sense to me, and maybe have it other connect the same
Yeah.
thing connect with other people.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is because I've done one other podcast and I always rely on like for me in order to do this one, I'm like, Lisa's gonna lead us, she's got the game plan, she's gonna redirect me if needed. And so the when I'm up by myself, it's like I'm on an island. I'm like, I
Mm.
can do everything, or I can back out and do nothing and hide away. But you feel more exposed.
Mm. And vulnerable.
Hmm.
Isn't it so cool how, um, like when you're in connection with other, and that can be the partner, the friend, any connection. I read this morning actually, and I wanted to share. It's like the self-worth is not built on our own. It's the self-validation and the self-worth that we crave is built within too by us actually supporting and almost like encouraging one another to do that, right? Because you don't feel alone, but you also have a person who trusts enough in you, so you kind of feel like, oh, I'm kind of a little confident more, and my worth, like almost self-assurance is
Hmm.
built with the other across from you. So what you're doing it alone is like almost like you eliminate that. So you have to rely on yourself to constantly bounce off that from the mirror, which is only you into the unknown. So it goes this way. It's not bounced back and forth with someone. So whenever
Hmm.
you need a little bit of boost, you know where to come.
Yeah,
Same.
absolutely. And it's crazy too, because our like the topic, or at least the direction, is around stress and anxiety. So
Mm,
in creating these topics and coming up with the ideas and exploring them, it's like exposing how real it is in my life, and where
hmm
I've always been like, oh, I'm good, like everything's cool. And the reality is, you know, more often than not, I'm like a pretty hot mess. So it's funny to kind of be unpacking that with a an audience that I don't know yet.
mm,
But it's almost like I need to step into this at that level for it to be real, because otherwise I could just go through the motions. It's like you put a podcast on, okay, I got the message. I'm doing okay. Carry on. But if you're actually like implementing or having to use it, then that
mm.
in itself exposes you and shows you where you might not be up to par.
So let me ask you this, since I busted your codes, astrological codes. By the way, there's so much to say about this, right? So it depends on what it is that you want. But once I dive into it, it's almost like my entire perception of you actually changed after
Yeah.
after I looked into your chart. And not that this is now the picture that I look into, and this is now the person I'm collaborating. This is just an extra data point, an extra perspective for your information. Now you can do whatever you want with it. But to me, it was so enriching to see that your heart is really big. And big meaning the moment it comes back here, it shoots out this radiance, it shoots out the different frequency, different truth, authenticity to it, the heart, and you have it so, like you have it so exposed, not exposed, but so like, like it's your self in night when nobody's seeing. It's like in complete darkness, almost like you have to tap back into it. This is just a predisposition. It has nothing to do with the truth of you, because you're going to tell us your truth. But it's interesting to see, and I wrote it down on this jinky as well. We have been talking about the creativity a lot, and
Yes.
where is the creativity come from? And I almost wonder, is it us tapping independently, uniquely into these gaps that he's talking about, that awareness that, oh, there must be something that comes up for us to create these gaps of awareness that are necessary for us to evolve, which comes through the creative portals lately. So, I guess the question is, how do you relate to the recent talks in this portal, in this space of us talking about the creative sides, creativity, the art, um, you know, and this jinky? And is it really accidental? This is what I'm like, there's no way this is coincidental and accidental. This is almost like really, really right on point right now.
Yeah. Are you saying is accidental that we're reading 24 right now, or are you saying it's accidental something else?
That you and I have been into this space of creativity so much, and the 24 just happened to be about the creativity a year and a half later.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't read the 24th until this morning. So this morning I read it and I was like, wait a minute, we've been talking about this almost like for 2, 3 weeks, if not four already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And I read it. I read it last week, and there was a little bit of experiencing it before I had even read it, and then it was like the 3 days after. It's just like you get a new piece of awareness, much like when you did my natal chart, and you're like, well, now I see you differently. It's just more data points.
Mm.
There's that, and sometimes I think with the gene keys, because they work very mysteriously, I think they can come in like in apprehension of like what's going to take place. I don't know how this works, and people are going to be like,
Mm.
well, that's pretty woo-woo, but
Mm.
we know time is not as it seems. It's not as linear as it shows up. So in that sense,
Mm.
it's an accident in our perspective, right? But from the way that time works on a higher dimension, like nothing we experience is accidental, and we're here creating and being a part of the symphony all at the same time.
Mm. I found it beautiful and almost like, oh, almost that gap. And I don't know, is it the gap that occurred to become aware of that 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and every text exchange, there was the sense of we want to go towards the creativity. So you took, the path of creating your space and doing all the, getting and really getting inspired to start exploring this area now. I'm talking now, and then I ended up diving into total historical art of like, you know, where is this coming from? Like, why do I have such a desire, which is also the desire to discover this now? And
Mm.
then, boom, 24th gift speaks about where this creativity from the emptiness. I'm just I'm just like curious about the empty part, and when I read about how he explains the emptiness out of which that these moments of potential creativity come up, I never experienced it as emptiness. So it was just additional information to think about. Did you experience the emptiness ever?
So I have a story that fits a little too perfectly, but it is what it is. um, so to be discreet, because I like my privacy, but I have some investments, and I've been waiting for a long period of time, and I've had this goal of like investing in the stuff to do video and the stuff to do editing and the lighting and all that. And I woke up from a dream where it wasn't clear what happened, but I got the message like that could be all gone. Like there's so many layers to the waiting and expecting, and like, okay, it's going to be better when I wait. And it was like, there's so many ways that this could go wrong because, bank accounts get hacked, numbers get lost, you get locked out, someone steals your identity. There's so many different ways that it can go wrong. And I
Mhm.
woke up and was like, what if I had none of it? And this dream, it was like, you don't have it right now. It's all gone. And I was like, well, shit, okay. Well, starting from square one, doing it all over again. And I woke up and was like, that's worse than if I just bite the bullet and take a chunk and, take a quote unquote hit and do a little bit of purchasing and like investing in the things that I want to be doing. Because it's like all this energy is around like, well, we're waiting. Just, hold off, hold off, hold off. And for years. And so it felt so good and so refreshing to wake up. And then I looked at Carly and I'm like, hey, I have some good news. I'm like, open your email. I have like all these things we're going to put in our cart and we're going to purchase them. She was like, what's the change? I'm like, well, I just had the message that none of this is guaranteed. And it's really, important to us and to me to do this now. And
Mm.
like, it showed up as a gap in a way of the gap was like, let me take away this wall you're leaning against and saying like, well, one day it's going to be worth it. The
Mm.
wall's not there. You have to stand on your own two legs. And initially I fell down. So it's like, do you want to stand up or do you want to sit and wait on the ground? um, so that was really cool. And the way I experienced it was having it been taken away. And before that, I had like 3 days of massive anxiety of just playing this out of like, what if it was gone, or what if I didn't have access to it. So the dream just was like, it is gone. Experience it, feel it. Now wake up, choose a different life because
Mm.
you have a chance. So
Mm. So, how, okay, can I dive into this?
yeah.
The sun is right into my face. Look at this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you recall that feeling? Let's just call it that gap of awareness. Can you recall the feeling when you had this realization from conscious to unconscious to conscious, almost as a leap of faith? The feeling, the embodied feeling. Did you feel the emptiness or did you feel something as impulse, inspiration? Like almost like a brand new feeling into your body, brand new sensation.
Yeah. It was like stepping off a boat and being like,
Mm-hmm.
let's see what's in the ocean. I have a little life
Mm.
raft, but the boat life was good, and then we're gonna jump in and see what happens. It took a lot of action, a decision to get there.
Mm. So, you know how he explains that it's not going through these three bodies, it's almost like coming from the mind to the astral down to the womb, which
Mhm.
is the DNA. And was it like I'm curious to know, is this feeling coming from the actual body, the physical body, or is it just completely unphysical?
Mm.
Like, how did it come? And is it really maybe the sense of complete emptiness?
Oh, that's tough. It was more than a week ago now, so I'm trying to recall.
Mm.
The only thing that comes up for me, if I'm being honest, is the feeling of just being unsteady before I made the decision.
Mm. Like anxious,
Just, yeah,
like, mm.
like my
And
stomach
once you,
settled and my, you know, just kind of being like out of
mm.
sorts.
Mm. Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it okay to say that you made the decision out of the body experience rather than the mind?
Yeah, I believe so.
Huh. And how would the mind decision actually be different from this?
um, that's a good question. It's like the dream almost took the decision away from my mind.
Mm.
Like, no, you're gonna die, and then waking up in my body and just having it be like, this is what's happened. It was like, this is happening whether you like it or not. We're gonna.
Mm. So it was the time. Okay, and I'm not questioning the what did you do, but I wonder, is it really possible for us to be aware when we take these leaps of jumps? Like, and what this awareness, is it new awareness to us, or is it the way that we just come to the realization, oh, I'm gonna do this no matter what? Like, this is a good example. It's like, when when it's time to change the job, you just know and you do it. When you know it's time to end the relationship, you just know and you do it. And when you know you need to move to another apartment, to move to another city, Michigan to Hawaii, right? So it's like you just know and that's it. And
Mhm.
you're not questioning it at all. Like you said, the mind just comes out of equation completely. It's just knowing. But is the knowing actually that gap of awareness that he's talking about here,
Hmm.
to invent something new for you? Mm.
Hmm.
I like that it's almost undescribable.
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know.
It brings up a thought of like people that stay in their situation. Like I think of my family back home
Mm.
and how they stay in Michigan, but I still get texts complaining about the cold in February and March, um, or their job, or the relationships, or the situation. And I think because the mind is playing the central role of this of decision maker, and well, this is how it's done, and this is what's logical, and this is how we get through it, and this is how we move forward. We don't have the capacity to make. My dad and I were talking about this recently of like, how often do you plan things out before you make big decisions or any decisions? And he asked it back to me, and I was like, there's not a long list of things that I had like big plans for. And usually the things I had plans for, within weeks, they change completely and it's no longer a plan. And then I'm like, I'm running on that, like I'm in the tire going down the mountain. And I'm like, we're just going. Like for me to think about what to do next, it's going to distract me from, you know, being in the tire.
Mm. And is this a recent, by the way, that you don't plan?
Is it recent?
Uh-huh.
I would say there's been less. It's like an aspect of my psyche where I've kind of released it more and more over time, where it comes in waves, and the waves were bigger when I was younger, but now there's less of this like desire to plan out the future.
And is this like enhanced in a recent, let's say a year for you?
I would say so. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ponder why? Well, though we'll never find the answer, but how come? Because I'm in the same boat like you.
Mhm.
Same exact thing. What I used to plan back in the day, 6 months, a year ahead of the time, I can no longer plan. And my timeline now shrank down to what day? The moment I plan a day, I am not joking. This is almost no day is excused out of this new rule that suddenly I'm aware of. I plan today from A to Z. The gym, the friend, the brunch, the coaching, you, pa pa pa. 50% of the time, it's literally almost going to stop. And when I put the plan in a linear way of what I'm going to do this week or no, always something happens where I can no longer continue as per plan. I have to flow it. And
Yeah.
it's like surrender again, surrender again, surrender again. I was in the midst of moving, and jury duty came abroad. And I'm like, jury duty? I've been trying to avoid jury duty for 15 years successfully. And suddenly I come in California and I'm like, why am I invited? Like, you have people that have never been invited here, born and raised in California. Call them. Why am I on the books? And I'm calling, and they can't come up with the idea of who to summon for the jury, right? So it's like everybody's just like, and I'm like, out of everything that I planned this week, I had to pause everything because Trudy became a board, and I was just like dead tired afterwards, 8 hours just sitting and waiting and being question, question, question. It's just like this just came and disrupted my entire week. Now I have to reset again. So there's no planning at all allowed in my case nowadays, at all whatsoever.
What forces do you think are at play? Do you think this is like, yeah, go ahead.
You know how I gasped when I read, you know what he said in the gift, which is invention. He called us an equipment. Did you get to that point?
Equipment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Watch. Oh, actually, it's CD.
Oh, okay.
We are genetic equipment. We
Yeah.
have, right? He goes, which human beings are viewed quite coolly as simply a genetic equipment for consciousness to play in.
Mm. Yeah.
So while I'm here trying to come up with some sort of tactics in my life and feel fulfilled and aim to grow and aim to go to the destination direction, or I don't know, goal or desire, it's like I can't, because I'm just a genetic equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's perfectly said, because I feel I'm totally out of control when it comes to this,
Mhm.
because I no longer trust what it's telling me. It's all full of shit and constant resentment, and not resentment, but defending, and giving me the, like the list of things to focus on, which is not what I need to focus on. Rather than stopping to blob, it continues to blob more and more and more and more.
Mhm.
So it's using me as an equipment. I love it. Anyway, we jumped the CDs, but we
That's
can
okay.
reset.
It's like the city provides the contrast. I'm thinking of how addiction to worry and planning, like you can have an addiction to many things, right? And
Think.
I wonder if in letting go, you invite more opportunity to be used as equipment, as he puts it. Like, I wonder if it just takes a level of like initial surrender for it to continue. Because to me, in my experience, over 10 years, or gosh, has it been that long? Maybe more like 5 years, where 5 years ago, I would sit, and I had a lot of time on my hands before we had kids. I would sit with a spreadsheet and I would be like, okay, Carly has this job, I have this job. I'm gonna go month by month. And I would do this for like 50 years and be like, okay, we're gonna have this expense, we're gonna do this house, we're gonna do this here. Just, and it's like extreme addiction. There's nothing to it. There's no way that
Mm,
it can happen the way you plan it out. So it's just fulfilling some desire in the moment to
mm,
calm the nervous system, potentially keep
mm.
things quiet.
You mean like to put your entire year or your entire 20, 30 years of planning of your life onto the sheets? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And you're saying it was just an empty feeling, or empty waste of time, or did it go as per sheets?
Uh, no. Oh, it wasn't even like 3 months. It was like,
Wow.
okay, we're buying a house and now we're gonna flip it. I'm like looking at my spreadsheets. I'm like, I don't have this in here. Okay, COVID happened and Carly's gym got shut down. Okay, that's not part of my plan.
Mm.
And it's just
So,
so it just feels like especially since 2020, just getting like beat up in terms of, smacked around. Like, hey,
okay. Yeah, like stir fry. Rather than grilled and well done, you're like stir fried. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you then think what you're putting right now into the internet, into the live, right? So it's like comes and waves, and then you pause, and then it comes, and then it goes. It comes, there's like this play with it. It's like wavy, whatever. Almost like gooey, and then it's super sweet, and it's like it has its form. It's really weird. And I think it's everybody has this feeling of like love, hate, which is so wild. Nobody likes it actually. um, do you think, let's say 3 years from now, well, first question for you, would you be okay looking backwards 3 months ago and seeing yourself as that, knowing that now you're totally different and your message changed?
Hmm. So looking back 3 months ago, am I pleased with myself then? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
3 months was January, December. Oh, time flies. Hmm. I can't be like mad at myself, but I would, looking back, I'm like, how immature you were. How little did you know?
It reminds me of like when you read a book, when you write a book, and then you write it out of your current experience, whatever
Hmm.
that you feel at that moment, whatever perspective that you have, whatever angle you're looking at the world, at everything else. And it's just that moment. And then 5 years later, there's another book that totally misaligns with book number one. It's a totally different perspective. And then yet you have to accept the old book, old stuff, which is totally not what you would ever preach now and actually teach. So to me, trying this to do something is also, as he mentioned, addictive, because when it comes out of mind, which is that love and hate relationship with the internet, not with the social media, the way it was just set up for almost like by default, we think we're gonna fail. By default, we think we're gonna just like be ridiculed and laughed at. It's like
Yeah.
mind does all this to bring this to us. So it's like we want to come from the heart, then the mind stops it. We want to, but this is who I am. Why not go out there and share? It doesn't matter who listens to it, but the mind was like, but you're full of shit anyway. Right? It's like constant battle back and forth. So I wonder, is the way to let it happen um the way to just silence? Really, no one sells silence nowadays. And I thought how cool it would be to sell silence.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Do you mean like actual? Because I'm gonna push on this. You brought this up probably 5 times with me.
What?
Like one day we can log on, press record, and just sit and just offer presence.
I did?
You've said some version of that. Yeah, this is like the fifth time. So I'm wondering if this might
Not
be
aware.
your next challenge.
Hmm.
Just
Oh, to be silent.
go on Instagram Live and just sit.
I want to do it. We should totally do it for 1 hour. Do you want to try?
Yeah, I'm like an hour. I'm like maybe I'm like trying to talk you down, but I don't know why. Doesn't matter.
That would be, you see? Do you think, because, okay, did this come out of gap? Because there's nothing else to say. Meaning, all stories are almost told already. We're just spinning in circle, which is addictive, right? So spin, spin, spin. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm so down to try this with.
Okay.
Oh
Let's
my God.
let's do it.
Next one or today?
Um,
Maybe next one.
Next one maybe. Well, it's part of this, but maybe I was thinking like Instagram, like a live where people could participate, or is it just going to be recorded?
I mean, we can try anything.
Hmm.
I don't know. When I'm uncomfortable, I laugh. So I don't know. Can I just sit here like
Maybe
stone
we'll just
cold?
laugh for an hour.
Huh?
Maybe we'll just end up laughing for the last
Maybe.
45 minutes.
I signed up for Vipassana. Did I tell you this?
Oh, you did.
I'm waiting to see will I get accepted by the end of March, actually, for 10 days, silence and
When did you
meditation.
sign up? I mean,
Hmm?
when did you sign up? When did the decision happen?
2 months ago.
Really?
Mm.
And you
I
knew
was
about
like,
this gene?
no, no, not at all. But I signed up and it's waitlisted because it's really taking, it's like California here in LA. I mean, near LA, well, kind of a couple hours. But I don't know. There's this like, wow, I think I can handle it. Because I was in the silent retreat for 7 days and I don't mind. I don't have a problem not talking. I do have a problem not thinking, which I think will be very, very challenging to do. And, I would love to try and incorporate it. So maybe after I come out of it, I just accept it. And if I come out of it, maybe the silence will be easier for me. And then I'll make you feel very uncomfortable.
Mm. Yeah, actually, I think from what I've witnessed, I think you come out and you're very uncomfortable. Like you are actually the one that's uncomfortable with the noise, the movement, the listening to people's thoughts externalized. Like it's like a transition period. It's almost shocking.
From Vipassana.
Mhm. But it's funny because I was just reading today about egregores.
Mm-hmm.
You know this term? It's like living thought forms, kind of similar to Richard, I don't remember his name, but the idea of like collective thought bubbles where we have collective energy around an idea and then the idea takes shape.
Mm,
And the two that were talked about, the one was like the Godhead or Yahweh or whatever you want to say, and the other was just oneness.
mm,
And both egregores are like traps of um, the one kind of giving away your energy to like this figure, and then the oneness is a complete letting go and the belief that you should kill your ego,
mm,
and then it's like a total detachment, and then you kind of lose yourself. And people have said that they lost like their memories, like complete memories of their experiences, and had to kind of build it back. But
mm.
all that to say, like I'm always skeptical of ultimately Vipassana is an experience and it's probably worth having, but I'm always skeptical of the potential to like rank yourself or myself on like an hierarchy of ability or skill or when it comes to spiritual things.
Mm. And then what happens?
Um, what do you mean? What's the question?
So you said a potential to scale yourself at the higher levels of the reality, or like spiritual evolution, or and involvement or enlightenment.
Hmm.
I feel like, how I feel these things. E. I don't really think that much about them, right? So it's almost like, why wasn't I always ask, why wasn't I ready to do stuff like this 3 years ago? Why wasn't I ready to enter into a Vita program, for sacred sexuality 5 years ago? But I happen to be very consistently drawn into it, almost like allured or seduced by something that excavates something out of me. And I don't know why then not, and now yes. And I don't apply this rule for everybody around me. If I go, you have to go. It
Mhm.
almost like the it is. I am almost like it is almost obvious to me. It feels like when I look back into my experiences and how, from which part of me I said yes for a lot of things in life rather than waiting for tomorrow or hoping for the better future or planning and being really safe. And as I've done it as many times as I'm aware to do it, like almost like I learned how to trust that part of me, which I used to call intuition. Now it's like my entire body. It's like there's this part of me that just knows, and I don't know where I know. And if it's in the highest, if I trust that it will be for the higher good of me, even if I boo boo or make mistake, right? Because what tells me that I am a good person? I don't have, right? So you can tell me I'm a good person. People around me can tell me that I'm a good person, but how do they know that's good? Right? So it almost like it's left for me to experience whatever that is. And it's not like I didn't make mistake in my life or didn't have the wrong thinking or wrong thoughts or didn't have the fears and contraction. My ear is burning right now because it's like I'm having the body reaction to it. So it's like what tells me I can make this step into my evolution, into my life, right? So what tells me that I am aware of more now than I was just 2 years ago? And I only know how to gauge it with, am I expanding or am I contracting? And if I'm contracting, what am I defending myself from?
Mm.
What am I repelled against, right? So am I repelled against the crime and death or something, or am I repelled against something that just triggered me and touched my button so much that now I feel all these feelings inside of me and emotions and chemical disturbance in my body? Because my mind doesn't hurt, it's my body that tells me that I feel all these different things. So I don't have, it's not someone else's story or it's not someone else's truth from 14th century. But if I look at something, if I feel it, and if I intentionally get into it, I might be feeling something or I might not feel something. If I read a fiction story about whatever, what is it called, 50 Shades of Grey, nothing really is happening. But if I'm looking and reading about the Leonardo da Vinci, something is happening. I'm getting mad, pissed, excited, thrilled, right? So it's like, where is this coming from? And it's not my mind coming up with the stories, it's my actual bodily reaction. And what I find really interesting that he actually separates this astral planes, these planes and sides as a new information. So it's like, how does he say? Oh, here. So it's the physical, the astral, and the mind. And the physical is the DNA. The astral is all the feelings, the sexuality, and emotions. And the mind is what stops and layers everything for us to actually start deepening down into where are we? Where are we coming from? So I don't know is any of this true, but what I know is that I am actively experiencing something with the specific information coming towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Not all, but just funneled experience.
Mm. Interesting. It's like the question I want to ask is, how do you know, how do you have discernment between this is obviously on my path or this is just, I guess you wouldn't even have the choice to make. It would just show up clear.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. The choice is almost like, am I the the awareness, okay, this is so good. I'm burning on fire right now. I'm so hot. So the choice is what I'm going to do about this. How am I? Okay, so the awareness is not a choice. It's almost like it comes to, oh, I'm actually experiencing something and I'm about to actually burn my hair out. Like I feel I'm flaming right now. But what am I going to do with this? Am I going to feel uncomfortable, use my mind to make me stop it, or am I going to allow it and surrender? That's the choice. But the awareness to experience it really comes like out of blue. And my mind is catching up to it. What I found is that when my body experiences something like that, my mind is literally behind trying to catch up to it. rather than mind running and body is. So the roles just completely flipped if I'm listening to the body. And, to come back to what I was asking you earlier, I don't know, will this exact thing be the truth again for me 3 years from now?
Yeah. Hmm.
And it shouldn't be. It should not be. It should be different. It should
E-
evolve.
Even your whole perspective and how this energy moves in you will shift. So like, yeah.
Yes.
And it's crazy how tempting it is to take any piece and say this forever.
Mm.
And yeah, like lock it in. Exactly.
But do you find easier to do this now? Easier to unlock and let it come to you and let it go. You remember the house with open windows and doors? You can come in as you want and you can leave and come back through it. It's a house, it's a chi, and just like literally, it's like the equipment.
Yeah.
I can't get over it. Do you find it easier now to accept that is evolving actively, faster, moving?
Um, wow, there's just a lot happening. Um,
What's happening? Tell me.
it's,
Head
it's
and
psychedelic
mind.
again.
Tell me.
Um, ask it one more time because it's like very psychedelic. So I'm tracking, but it's blowing me open. So I don't know how to capture and deliver to you. So ask me one more time.
Are you having an experience?
It's a subtle one. It's manageable.
Why would you manage it?
No, it's just it is, it's there.
Is it opening or
Not like
contracting?
it's blowing me back where I need to like lay down and I mean maybe that would be nice, but we're here.
Is there emotion you can assign to it?
Um what's the closest emotion to awe?
Breathtaking?
Mm,
Is that an emotion? Are we gonna just have every single episode crying?
oh, okay.
Ugh, sit in it. Just sit
Do you remember the question? Or is it past? Something about keeping your doors open.
there.
It's easier now.
Um, and people would think, did they smoke anything before this thing? It's like totally just water.
Uh, mm,
Wait. Let me ask you this. Can you tap into this feeling and dial it up?
mm. If I get the more I get out of the way.
Hmm.
So
So, do you have the layer of awareness of what it feels to dial up a good feeling? We don't even know what it is. We just
right
feel it.
now, yeah. It's the metaphor that works right now is the body is running ahead and the mind's back here, like trying to like wrangle it with the cowboy rope. And the more I can just let the mind like catch up eventually, whenever that happens, that's, it's like that's the opening of the door.
So are you thinking less right now?
Mm-hmm. That's why it's hard to, stay on topic.
Is there so good. Okay. Wait, where did the thoughts go?
Lost in the experience.
Where are you experiencing this? Into your body or around you?
It's the same. It's like very fluid. And two
Mm.
less senses like vision, sound. It's just very fluid, very psychedelic.
Should I bring us back to Earth? Because I can do that.
Or uh,
It's like, what is Earth? Can I tell you what I just read about Salvador Dali? You know who he is, right? And there's this method that he uses, and I think he coined it, and after that, artists used it, and he would go to bed with the spoon in his hand, and he would put it on his chest and close his eyes until he falls asleep and relaxes his body so much the spoon falls on the floor and wakes him up. And the moment he wakes him up, he gets up and he goes into that state of mind, which is already asleep, starts creating.
hmm,
And, he would just draw
yeah.
frantically, fractals and everything, and bend the time. But it is so good to have a possibility, to alter the mind states. So
Hmm.
good. Okay, can I ask you something?
Yes.
We literally talked for 1 hour and we just experienced this whole key. I think we talked nothing to, okay, I love it. I love it. I'm not
Yeah.
complaining. I
So
love it. Who do you trust? Not externally, but in you. What part of you, and how do you know what to trust?
hmm. I would guess it goes back to contraction and expansion because I'm having to interpret trust through a layer of experience and not a layer of knowing or guessing because there's endless amounts of knowing and guessing that will never feel trustworthy.
Mm, so good.
Do you feel the same?
Mhm. The mind feels meh,
Yeah.
blase. It feels very doing a really hard job to sidetrack me. And it's like, it's, but if I feel it, I feel it's fair to say that many of us are feeling the same thing, because I am not, enlightened or at the higher octave. I don't consider to be on the higher octave than anybody really around me. I had I was drawing, there's this, and can I just tell you something? And I know we're running at the time, but I just want to tell you there's this like author, and she connects you with the way that you want to open up your business, right? So, but what she does is like she is really good in like pointing out what your business niche can be, but you have to feel your way through it and try to use the brain to explain it in language. So every day I wake up and there's this simple sentence that you just discover yourself through. And to give you the example, she gives the sentence and then you write a story about it. You write whatever that comes out, but you imagine it so much that you twist your mind of possibilities. So the more and more I write it, the more effective it becomes, because now you start thinking differently. Imagine, here's the sentence. Imagine that you are feather falling on the blue color, and you are this and that link between your story and the world story. And you read it, and then you just sit and you write. What do you think this is? What do you feel this is? And how do you feel this now becomes a story of yours, which is brand new information. So in the end of this morning's writing, there was a mirror, because the story was like linking my story to the world story. It was someone else's story to the world story. And it was the mirror and all these dots, and then the mirror, and then the dots without the form. It's as if they're a reflection of one another. And it came out so beautifully, because it's like, if I'm able to feel it and think it, I bet I'm not the only one. There can be. I bet we're all doing, many of us are doing the same thing at the same time, the same level, the same, almost like the same way, just expressing it differently, just experiencing it differently. So I think we're all in the same sauce at the same time. No higher octaves.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And just for personal interest, this is like a different prompt every morning, or you're doing,
Different prompt every morning.
oh, and it's very abstract.
It's called To Be the Soul, Do the Soul. It's a book, literally 60 pages, every page just one sentence, and you just write. But the way you write is really like very, like opening up this and using this to open up this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no competition. There's no getting somewhere. There's no desire. It's not, the goal is not to create a business out of it at all whatsoever. But her mindset is to practice these things. And I think maybe you should, I mean, yeah, you've seen. I can't tell
Yeah,
you what to do. You know.
I'm curious. I um I had a creative writing class, and we had this as a practice, just starting whatever comes in, and like it takes 5 minutes or so, but actually it's pretty quick to kind of get
Mm,
past like story layer, layer, and then all of a
mm-hmm.
sudden it's just like it is what
Flow.
it is what's emanating out of you. It's like you found it, and I really enjoy that practice.
Totally. And it's, you see, he's talking about the firing and wiring. So it fires different ways that, that might also help come to the awareness. Because twice already, as I was writing, I wrote something that was like, huh, like, like these moments of, wow, this just came out of blue. And I didn't really know that may be what is coming out of the depths of me that I wasn't even aware of.
Hmm.
Pretty cool. Oh, I think this was a really good keep, but we also need to redo it again next week, because I like it. We should talk about the addictions.
Sure.
And I had a breakfast this morning with a friend who has issues with addictions. And I think, where we come from, it's very addictive. Everything is addictive nowadays. The porn, the social media, the alcohol, the drugs, and you name it, even talking.
Yeah.
So I think it will be a really good talk to talk next week about it.
Yeah.
See,
I'm game.
we'll let you fly off again. Carly's gonna be like, what did you smell? Like, do you ever go back to her and you're like, totally, let's go back to boys, kids, and back and running it? Like nothing happened?
That's what I think. But usually usually it's the absence of it. So when I don't get to have a podcast with you, she'll make a little comments like, "Oh, are you sad that you didn't get to?" I'm like, "No, I'm okay." She's like, "Do you miss Melissa?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's fine. It is what it is." And she's like, I think you really benefit from whatever it is that you guys are creating. And I think so too.
I think so too. The best part, we don't even know. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. And she knows not to ask because how could I explain it?
Yeah. Well, we'll double soon, so I'll let you know if I get into Vipassana. Then maybe one day, you'll end up there with me. Never know.
Yeah, maybe.
And we'll just very much hold the silent space. That serious.
There's a piece of it where I'm unfamiliar, which is the body scanning.
What do you mean?
Maybe there's different traditions, but I think from what I've seen, they teach body scanning where you go, it's the activity that gets you away from the cycle of death of your thoughts, of like
Mm.
scanning like an inch square and just going through your whole body as much as you can. When you have 10 days, like you can do a very, very small piece, just scanning and
I honestly do not even know what it is, nor I have the desire to find out until I'm there. And I think the way I just throw myself out there is the way I threw myself in everything in the last couple of years, like including Vita and coaching and yoga. It's like I'm just gonna do it. It's not. I don't know. I'll let you know. I met ever since one person who's done it at the same place, and I was like, "Don't tell me. I'll meet you afterwards."
oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be telling you all this stuff.
It's okay. It's so good. I think it's so beautiful. Young Pueblo?
Familiar with the name, but I don't think is an author or...
Really, really cool poems. He writes very good poetry. Really, really cool. And has like three to four books. Does it for 45 days. 45 days.
Hmm.
And with his wife a year or twice a year, and comes out totally new. And I think out of that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna put it in the ether. You never know. Maybe we'll do this together one day. Why not? I
Yeah.
want to do it as a practice. I think it's really powerful. We'll see if I survive first.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll let you go. I'll throw the life raft.
All right. I love you, love you, love you.
Love
Say
you.
hi to your family and my family, and then we'll talk next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.
It might fall down many times throughout our call, but okay, it's a first setup, so we should see how it goes. Hi,
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mister?
Did you have an idea of how to start today? I want to ask you questions, but I figure you have probably a lot to say and maybe nothing at all.
The silence. Um, I reread. I was shopping and clipping our clips on 24th last time that we tried a month ago to talk about
Yeah.
it, and then I ended up going on Vipassana,
Mhm.
and now I'm back from Vipassana. trying to practice this exact thing the 24th is talking about. And I totally blanked out that this was what the 24th was about until I opened the book again. So I have a lot to say on this.
I can't wait.
A lot. And questions are very welcomed. I think there's so much to expand on this. It's such a beautiful, beautiful key. But I'm back to see you. Okay, I'm very happy. We're back on this. And we're more professional. More professional. Ah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm well, really well. I had many shifts, challenges that led to transformations.
In the last
Well,
month?
yeah. I feel like
Wow.
you went to Vipassana and you were just like sending me like, Eric, work through this. Um, yeah. So I think it'll be easier to trickle it in as we continue instead of just dump a whole story
Sounds
without
good.
purpose. But I am curious about your Vipassana. Maybe it's easier for you to trickle that in as we go, or do you want to?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, okay, so it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. The hardest thing. And I put myself into something I didn't know. Somehow time-wise was very much I applied for this in November,
Yeah.
December or something around that, around the holidays, because I was like, there's something in me that needs to go there and I don't even know what I'm putting myself into. Nor did I actually take time to discover it. I just knew there was something in 10 days worth of work where I'm about to face myself, but I don't know in what way.
Mm.
So it's a very hard technique to do. And I have pronounced myself crazy and mentally ill many
Hmm.
times. But there was this moment of awareness where you almost separate your identity from your mind that is doing all over everything to stop you from being in a present moment. That the moment you become awareness is, I think, the moment I associate, I connect with his gaps that he's talking in this
Yeah.
24th. And it is such a simple thing to do and such a hard thing to do. Hard
Hmm.
because you're facing directly your mind and you're living with this thing in your head nonstop. And it's actually really scary. And it does not want to be in the moment, in the present, inside your body. It wants to live in the past, it wants to live in the future. And it's pulling out everything persistently. And the stronger you become in a technique, the stronger it becomes to get down on
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
And as it gets down on you, it pulls out the trauma, the pain, the suffering, or the pleasure, the
Yeah.
love, the wants, the desires, the clinging. And as we live, as he actually constantly brings you into the past or brings you into the future, it either pulls out what you are aware, unconscious of in the past, or it either pulls out unconscious thing. And when it runs out of time and the menu for that day, for that hour, it's going to come up with stuff that are unreal. So much so that it's going to make you feel something in your body.
Mm.
And this is where the reaction comes in us and we start associating with the mind and what it does. It's like they use a very beautiful stories. And one of the stories was I'll give you three. Imagine wild horse with so much power running, running,
Hmm.
running, and it's untamed. And it's your job to tame it. Or imagine almost like having a wild horse on your left leg or riding and trying to you actually have to learn how to jump on it, connect with it, almost like learn their behavior in order to figure out what it needs to slow down, to calm down, to rest. And then you have another horse, which is also your mind. And then you're riding this one with one leg, the other one with the other, and you're going wildly, dangerously wildly. You're running and it's nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. Or imagine a monkey in a jungle, literally just jumping out of blue for no reason from one branch to another. It's a nonstop. It actually never rests. And
Hmm.
we are not even aware of it. So the awareness of what is happening inside your mind and how it makes you crazy because you can't catch up. it's so fast, so quick, so deep, so attention. It's almost like they call it a sixth sense. We have five senses, which is five consciousness, and then it's a sixth sense or a sixth consciousness. So if our sense of eyes did not know what they're doing, meaning if every single second, every color changed, and everything that you know of blue is now red, black, dark, brown, yellow, and you would lose your mind. You wouldn't know what is what. So it's almost like a tamed consciousness, the same like a sound, the same like a taste. You know exactly. It's a refined and almost precise. It's almost like it's tamed, but the mind is not. So the technique really brings you to nothing other than respiration and your sensations in the body. And the first good 3 days, actually, you're just breathing here on the triangle of your nose, and you're sensing literally the air coming around your nose. Is it hot? Is it fast? You know, do you feel your hair here, your mustache? What it's sensation. So, and your mind wanders off and you keep coming back, and your mind wanders off and you keep coming back. The training is very much to bring it back again. First 3 days. The fourth Vipassana starts, which is now you're dealing with this triangle, respiration. And then fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, you're scanning your whole body. And then you're entering these states, which are, I think the sixth day was and you're sitting entire time. You're actually in the sitting position. And from the day 4, you're asked not to move in 1 hour. So 3 times a day in 1 hour sitting, you're asked not to move, no matter how much it hurts. So reading this key goes like, oh, it's a reaction and pains us. It's the moment we decide to react to every single sensation in the body is the moment we bring these sufferings or the misery, because we're reacting to what our mind is telling us we need to feel rather than just observing. And if you observe, the sensation just comes and it goes, and it passes, and it comes and it goes. And the moment you become so subtle into your breathing, into your body, into your sensations, holy moly, does your brain work really hard to bring precise, full conversations from the past. The picture, the vision, like almost every single detail of that scene to make you suffer. This, to give you a little nudge, to catch up on something, to hook you onto something. And you're not moving. I'll give you a very terrible example. God forbid, I thought my mother died. And while I was there, I thought, because you can't, 10 days, you don't know what's happening in the world. You have nothing, no access to telephone, to cell phone, nothing. To face the fear. That's how hard it works. It's like, imagine if you come back to the world and entire Los Angeles just got earthquake and it's separated in the continent. Like, massive amount of information comes from your mind, and it's working really hard, really hard. So, and then you're just observing, how does that feel? Where does it feel? It's like, because it's not true. You do not know, is it true or not? The only truth is actually just coming back and sensing that. And so the more you train it, the more precise actually it knows, the more precise it becomes. And the more precise it becomes, as if you are now able to actually control it, what it wants to do. And when you start, he's mentioning here, we'll talk about this too, once these like things start like bringing, and they call it sankharas, and these are the wounds or sufferings or pain that we keep reincarnating again and again and again, in cycle and cycle and cycle and cycle. So it's almost like until these sankharas, or these deep engraved line into the sand or a rock, actually we repress them. We don't know how to process them. Almost every lifetime, this, per their teaching, per Jinkies here, will be the last for this lifetime, the first for the next one. And this is where we keep incarnating and getting addicted to incarnate again and again and again, because ultimately we're addicted to sensation. And sensation in the body, either it's pain or suffering or a pleasure, is turning into some sort of clinging, craving, attachment, and with it, misery and suffering.
Mm.
So, one or the other way, we're bound to suffer unless we learn how to control our mind precisely to bring it back into the present moment, because it does not. It will do everything in its power to not be in a present moment, rather to be in the past or in the future, which is not real.
Mm. Did you have any changed beliefs or like philosophies from that experience? Or even like values, like
My biggest takeaway from this is I was aware of my awareness not being part of my mind. And my awareness used to be outside of me right here. So whenever I would meditate or try to do any processing, it was always me here. Physically, I know I was here, but my awareness was there. So I would actually look at myself breathing in and out, never inside my body. It was always here. My awareness in my mind, my visions, my pictures, my sounds, my words, my alms, my tantras, my affirmations, everything was outside my body. So somehow I was just aware, but not aware, as if it wasn't mine. So with this technique coming back into the parts of your body again and again and again, my awareness just became closer and closer to me until I embodied it from this angle. And I was like, oh, because I was now aware of my body edges. So the awareness was the first that I brought it back into the body. That was huge. And then the second was this practice, and it was just the gap, or just the moment of wow, of realization that my mind is a separate entity from me. It's like I'm here to help it, because I at first I thought I think so I am, right? What we were taught that is, but no, I sensualize, I embody. So I am, because what I'm thinking, that's not what I am.
Mhm.
And the second part is the awareness. Now, when I became aware of my part of being aware of what's happening with my mind, I was able to multiply my mind. And I'll tell you the practice if you want to test it. It's just like 10 seconds. I think it was very eye-opening for me. So if you close your eyes
Mhm.
and you bring your mind and your attention into the center of your nose, and then bring that whole attention to your right shoulder, and then bring it back to your nose, and then bring it back to your left shoulder, bring it back to your nose. And now bring that same attention from your nose to both of your shoulders. Do you see and feel the split of the mind in two that are precisely, potentially, well, actually, you're capable of splitting your mind into two. And from those two shoulders, I want you to bring your mind down to your elbows and go simultaneously at the same time, down to your elbows, down to your palms, and drive your mind up to your elbows, up to your shoulders, back to the nose, simultaneously at the same time. So your mind multiplies. Not only that, can be at two spots at the same time, simultaneously, equally powerful, but you're actually sitting, being aware of this. And you can go places. You can multiply in 5, you can multiply in 10, and you can actually take on a lot of space with your mind. But there is only one awareness.
Hmm.
Did you feel the difference?
I could see how I would need some time to work out because my mind is trying to make sense of it as I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think there's probably value in you've already sat and gotten over the initial, making sense of what you're doing and kind of just getting into the practice. Because
Yeah.
as I'm initially when you split to shoulders, my mind's like, which one are we doing? And it's kind of going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like a clean, okay, we can be both. But then there's like a lot of story making around what's happening or you talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
just, the normal sort of thing.
Yeah. And it does that exactly what it does. It's kind of trying to figure it out, because now you are dialing it to a precise, you're commanding it to do a precise function. And it gets confused. It's like, oh, when you center it so much so that you're starting to control it, you can actually very much split in two and multiply and come back to the center. But everything other than your awareness changes. And the moment you become aware of, oh, I can do a lot of things with my mind and I can command it. Now it's playing with that and figuring out, when does it get bored? Is it too slow, too boring for it? Is it too fast, too chaotic for it? And fine tuning this through the technique of, oh, you're actually hella bored. And because you're bored, you're going out there everywhere else. And I have to kind of catch you. No, trying to find the speed of it, how fast it likes to go, how advanced it is, because it's a computer. We're talking about almost a precise human AI. It can do a lot of things at once, a lot. But the awareness now, it's split as different entities. So now you're aware. But yes, you're right. It's through the technique. And I think it's such a beautiful technique, Eric, to try. It's hard to apply it because you apply it through the entire body. It's hard to practice. Like you almost need to be really devoted all your life. There are people 40, 50 years all their life. It's like you're talking monk life. You're talking disillusion of ego. Absolutely and completely. There's nothing left when you start coming back into the present. But the difference between this technique and the previous techniques in meditation is that it does not allow you to come up with the almost no mantra. It's a completely not even related to any sect or organized religion. There's no om inside. There's no I am on. There's no I'm doing this step and that step. It's actually no words whatsoever and no visions whatsoever, because it's a form of distraction. And the purity in it comes with absolutely disassociating and saying, no, here, just here, just here, again and again and again and again and again. Ah, so good.
Yeah. Speaking of addiction, like the title of 24 is Silence, the Ultimate Addiction. Do you feel, and having eclipsed a certain level of monkey mind, that you're like, well, was it blissful? Like, what was I'm just contemplating the shadow addiction, the city of silence, and how you would long for the silence, because it's almost like we are trapped in this cage with these animals, and at any moment of rest, we come back to it. So, is there like some belief or temptation to assume that if you did enough, that you could like quiet the monkey forever?
Yeah, such a good question. So on the day 6, I entered into this body state where I did not feel my whole body any longer. And there's this moment where the pain in sitting cross-legged is so painful. Your back is hurting, your legs are hurting, your knees are in pain, you numb the entire thing, and then you push through the wall and there's nothing. And then suddenly when you enter into that state of disillusion, because you're almost like a powder, your energy, your subatomical level of you is just condensed energy. We all know this. But then you're able to actually crystallize your mind so much in that state that you're passing as a sheet. Your mind now becomes a scanner, and then you're scanning insides and out and insides and out. It's so blissful and good that the moment you feel the pleasure in it, you crave it, you cling it, you attach to it. And that's Sankara. So we attach to any form of pain or any form of pleasure, including bliss. So as I reach this some sort of state, and I'm not saying this is the highest state it gets. It's just some sort of state that comes out of blue, and it's almost like the practice will open this field for you and close it. So the practice is very much letting it happen when it happens, letting it die when it dies. It's all impermanence. It teaches you that everything that starts, it actually dies, as everything in nature, It's all cyclical, even the bliss, even the pleasure, even the pain. So I ended up going to the teacher to talk to her, and I said, oh, I felt this such a good feeling state of, it was just like high or a bliss. And I did not want to move because it was 2 hours in sitting in one pose. And I was just like, I melted so much that my hands were just like sitting in this position in my lap. And I felt like my hand was here.
Yeah,
I,
floating.
yeah, I completely lost the edges of my skin and I did not feel my body anymore. It's how much you can actually enter. And she goes, you're attaching, be careful. So they don't want you to sit longer than 3 hours. At the moment you reach this highest state of mind after 3 hours of sitting, it's actually exactly what you can get addicted to, crave more and more and more of. So yeah,
And
there's
then
no,
you move into a walking meditation.
it's like it was every day, it was 12 hours total.
Yeah.
4 sittings of 3 hours each. And out of 4 sittings, you get this course, you have the teaching on a video for 1 hour, and then early morning, 4 a.m., you're bright and early going on there, 3 hours sitting and coming back again and again and again and again with the walk and food in between. That's it. Silence.
How was your sleep?
So when you start releasing and diluting your body and your matter, they call it mind and matter in, you know, mind and body, technically. When you start releasing the heaviness of your body and start diluting so much, almost you open up yourself to so much more energy that it's not draining you, right? So you sleep less, you have a need to physiologically sleep less because your mind learns how to rest. And every night we go to bed, and it's the only time that it can actually settle and rest and be in silence, because it does not do that when we're awake. And even when we're dreaming, it's constantly doing something. So it does not know how to rest. So the more you train it how to be still, 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 the less of a need for you to rest there is. So I was surprised that I would go to bed at 9 and wake up at 4. This is 7 hours straight. I thought the more I sleep, the more I rest. It's like 10-hour days. I would be like, okay, now I'm charged back up and I can go and push through the day. But no, actually, I had so much energy because my mind discovered the state of rest by coming here in the present, So it's powerful.
It's beautiful.
You get to a state where you're like, you only need 4 hours of sleep. And you open up so much more energy for it, because your mind is so now liberated. You're almost like our job. So through this Jinki, it's just another way of speaking Vipassana. But this method of Vipassana, when the mind really almost like needs to know the way to calm down. It needs to be trained. It needs to be tamed to rest, because it does not rest. It cannot rest. It does not know how to rest. So as if our obligation is to teach it.
Yeah.
Our responsibility is to teach it. Otherwise, it's almost so it's close to every single second of our day. It's suffering. It's suffering because it's searching, it's seeking, it's panicking. It's always on a go, 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 go. And it never sleeps. It never stops.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I want to share like something that's happened with me recently without trying to make this a comparison, because it's not the same thing really. But I came across multiple teachers, mentors that showed me some of the error of the way I was living my lifestyle, and that I was trading away freedom in the moment for an idea of a better freedom in the future. And it was like, okay, I need to work now and hustle now and do X, Y, and Z so that I can attain a certain level of wealth. And then I can pull back and then have my relaxation and my freedom that I'm after. And ironically, it's like in trading that away, in like making that a known tax, I was setting myself up for a system of repeating that same mistake over and over again. And it's the mistake that the men in my family have passed down of, just wanting to have better opportunities for my children and to sacrifice so that the family can do well. And then once I get to here, then I will stop. But we often, when we get to that point, we don't have our health. We don't have the same goals or mindset. We don't have a fresh mind. We've been beaten by the
Mm.
system that we're a part of. So I've consciously made the choice to limit my work time to like 4 hours a day and to spend way more time writing.
Mhm.
So, and that's part of it. And in doing this, like having boundaries and constriction or constraints around when I can work and how I work. The first week, I would like close my laptop and I would like go out in the living room and I'm like, what are you guys up to? And then I'm like, okay, you could go and do a little more of this, or you could write this down, or you could do, it's like the temptation, the addiction showed
Mm.
up so strong. And
Mhm.
it was an addiction that I wasn't really conscious of because I thought it was a better addiction than what I could be doing, like wasting, quote unquote, wasting time. Um, but I also see, and part of this too is like I was over consuming YouTube, kind of, I call it research porn.
Mm.
Like, I'm going to learn this skill. I'm going to learn how to do filming and editing. I'm going to learn how to become a better writer. And it's just like passive, like me thinking like pouring water on my head is going to help me generate water from my fingertips. It's like, that doesn't make
Mm.
sense. But that's kind of the process we go in that to justify that level of consumption. And now I've shifted more towards books. And I know from how we've talked, you're like, I don't watch anything. And I'm like, okay, we're different. It's fine. But now in
So,
but now in like reading books, like I've read like 3 books in 2 weeks, and I'm like, it's so rich and it's and this is where it's different than kind of the Vipassana and true silence is it's not a total escape. I'm still consuming and my mind is still racing. I'm playing around with ideas. I'm mulling over things. I'm chewing on memories from my past and everything is constantly in full operation, but there is a quality of ideas that are coming up now they feel like I feel like I'm operating in almost like a drug-induced state where like the clarity is profound and
mm.
what know I need to do is very simple. Like it's just clear and easy and simple. And I'm enjoying this so much that what came up for me in this process of like constraining the time in which I'm able to create or do work, like helps you to focus in and that aspect of focus, it's a little bit like,
Mhm.
it's like having a center and then just being focused. And I have a timer now that I put on. And also like the mental, some part of me like bristles up when you say the mind needs to be controlled. And I have a defense mechanism that comes up that's like, be careful, because that there's some narrative around control for me where I'm like, you're gonna get burned trying to control like
Mm.
the monkey because it will always be able to outrun you. But I do resonate in the sense that like the mental body being one of the states of being that we have, causal, astral, mental. Like the
Mhm.
mental body it will generate ideas and it will generate activity based on what we feed it. So
Mhm.
because I've constrained inputs and really narrowed in my level of output and how I'm operating in that way, my mental body is like it feels much closer to me, whatever that is. And in that sort of way, I feel like an organized whole, or at least I'm moving towards organization. Whereas before, every day is like being blasted open in disorganization, like politics here, um, skill development here, and it's all passive learning. It's not actively participating. Anyway, the big rant, but
No, I love it because it does not. What I like about it is that you're listening to yourself and you are almost on a journey of adventuring with yourself. And yourself is you that you know of, you that you don't know of. Somewhere there it lives. The mind that is monkey mind. The mechanisms and tools that you have in your disposal that you know and don't know and want to discover. So, you know, so now you're aware that external factors are all messing you up. Like the more you input, the more output goes against you. Because it's like we live. This is why I sent you that clip, because it was when I listened to it, it's like, oh my God, this is coming here. And it's coming through our eyes, it's coming through our ears, and it's getting filtered as, oh, but I know. And it's feeding the mind, which feeds so-called whatever, ego. But it's an intellectual capital, and it's an intellectual input that is really there almost and only, and this is my experience only, to inspire you, right? To inspire you to make an action, to practice something, to actually experience something. So when you speak of art or writing, and you wrote like a madman for an entire week, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming, and suddenly that too stops. But at least now you experience this feeling of such a river of inspiration for writing, the same for painting, the same for learning the history, right? But it comes from you. So when we read books, for example, this is, you and I talked about this a lot on the podcast here. When you find a book that was almost written out of the authenticity of that deep self, that no influence and no external factors will dilute. It's like you almost feel transition through the words. Though I don't remember what I read, I will from 300 pages remember one word. That one word is a catalyst, inspiration catalyst for me to, maybe I will go and try Vipassana to experience it. So the change really happens on the experiential level of us actually doing something about what we know of, what we received as intellectual capital. And that's all it is. So when the mind, rather than the mind being powerhouse that shoots this sensations and feelings and and then we react to it and block and resist, and you're now experiencing it on your body level, on a subatomic level, which in Vipassana, and it's not the only technique, there's many techniques, is considered the subconscious level, where you start really just like lifting the veil of all these reincarnations and all these past ancestral trauma that we called, and they just keep like coming back and operating in a background of the stage, and we don't really know. But once you start releasing them, and you honestly, you don't even know what you're releasing. This is the best part. When you surrender to your own process of, today I feel 4 hours for me is max I can do. But in this 4 hours, I'm just going to sit and contemplate and read like a maniac, but then do just that, right? And at least it comes as an information from the somewhat part of your center self that you are currently aware of, then provides the information up to your brain to conclude. The moment we enter into the space of surroundings, the world, the news, you get, I don't know if you notice, like you get so sucked in, like you're like elite. And it's like you're aware, right? So we all know we're doing it wrong. It's an intellectual capital only. It's actually about feeling how you feel, doing something about it, and reacting to that information. So whatever information comes here through our senses, including our mind, is the reaction to it, right? So really cool that you are also experiencing this form of almost like what is it called? The oh gosh, the word is on the discrimination of the information coming your way. You're absolutely discriminating everything that it's actually coming your way forcefully to feed you because you have enough.
Yeah.
And just tell you something that I was listening to one of the artists. Can you believe this fact? Well, she said it was a fact that she was filmed an interview a long time ago. One of the Marina Abramovich, one of her interviews. She goes, I met this guy who burns the bodies in a cemetery. We call it crematorium, like when you get your body gets burned after the death. And she goes, do you know that back in the day, I used 100 Celsius degrees to burn the body? 100. It was enough to make it a powder. And nowadays, in the last 10 to 20 years, it takes 400 degrees to burn the body. Not only from the chemicals that we're entering into our body, literally the layers of the density of everything that we're inputting in our body. 400 degrees, 4 times more to burn the body. It's like this body, as he calls, is a temple. It's an electric box. And if it's an electric current box or electromagnetic box or equipment that we get to use, we need to take care of it. From here, from here, from here, from here. And it's only you can do that.
Yeah.
All the garbage.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You said at one point, you said, we know what we need to do. And I would argue that, at least in my experience, like I didn't actually know. I think most of us believe that we're making the correct choice for our lives in the moment. And it takes someone to teach you or show you a different path, or maybe how it looks different from the outside. And I used to justify, all these levels of knowing about the world and kind of unpacking the hidden motives, like, and looking back, I'm like, what opportunities did I gain from having that information? None. What joy did I bring to someone by sharing what I know? None. What what did it give me? It gave me worry, something to be attached to, a very strong attachment, something to outwardly attach emotions to, because there's some level of like, well, it's easier to process that the world is bad than it is to process that maybe I'm bad, or maybe my internal states are too much to feel. So let me just look out and notice the things that are upsetting, because it's easier to disassociate and have that level of
Almost like, let me see what's wrong out there.
yeah.
Who is wrong? It's your fault.
Yeah.
But the knowing, like intellectually, like, when he talks about the addiction, like, I don't know if you lived or ran life or had someone who has the addiction of alcohol or porn or drugs, but they know there's this knowing, meaning intellectually, the moment you take that sip, you're going to regret it in the morning, and you still do it. You can't help it. And that's that knowing that I was mentioning. It's like, knowing is not enough. It's experiencing that it's enough. Knowing is just the example or inspiration. It's like I read so many books that I do not remember. Why did I read them? Why did I need more knowledge? But somewhere there, something happened in a word or a form of the feeling that very much was relatable to what I'm going through in life at that moment, in that season of my life, that shifted my awareness, the gaps. So really, what we can do for other people, yes, be the example and have the story. But speaking the story from the mind versus the story from your own experience actually is where people differentiate between bullshit
Yeah.
in the truth.
Hmm. Yeah.
And nobody resonates with bullshit.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not
Maybe
anymore. Thank
maybe
God.
at one point.
But right, aren't you proud that we actually evolved? We
Yeah,
evolved.
I
Big
think
deal.
this is like the hidden layer. So I mentioned to Carly recent what was this? I processed like a really profound piece, and it was something to do with acceptance. And I wish I could remember offhand the main topic, but it was like I processed a moment of acceptance for the way things are in my own life or how I am. And then immediately following that, this thought came in that was, um, yes, like this is just one element or one example. Yes, you're being attacked by whoever. You're being attacked by 5G or by food, by glyphosate, by whatever, all the things. And then my mind was like, yes, and carry on. Like we've continued to live. We are continuing to live. And by like ruminating in I'm being attacked, I'm being attacked, I'm being attacked. Look at me, I'm a victim, or we need to change the system. Like the either the reaction or the repression. It was just like this acceptance, like, okay, yes. And we're doing the best we can.
Mhm.
And by and it became very clear, like the sooner I can just say yes and carry on and like focus on the parts of my life that actually matter, this like I think the healthier that I'll be. That's an assumption, but it seems to check out. It's like a healthy mind is one that is able to focus and have clear thinking
Mhm.
and and to be able to discriminate between truth and fiction or bullshit and reality.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? Right? It's like, we all suffer one or the other way. That's it. Four
Hmm.
noble truth of Buddha, truths of Buddha. Everywhere is suffering, everywhere you turn around. And then it's not going to stop unless you do something about it. So the suffering is everywhere.
Hmm.
It cycles back again. The awareness, eventually you're going to become aware that everything is suffering and misery, everything, including pleasure and joy and sex and intimacy, right? Everything. And then, okay, now you're aware, you want to do something. There's a desire for you to unchain yourself from this misery. And then the fourth step is actually knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do something about it, but knowing how to is different. And
Hmm.
it's not, the rule does not apply to all. And what works for me might not work for you. And that is
Hmm.
that acceptance. It's like, oh, everybody can speak their own experience, which we are now, thank God, able to differentiate between bullshit and truth or authenticity, shall I say. And then it's up to you what you want to do about it. You want to try it or you don't want to try it. But
Hmm.
it's purely down to experiential level of your desire to evolve and just see what will that do. Be willing to look yourself into, okay, I suffer. I am in pain. Like I'm stuck in anxiety. Actually today I had a brunch with a friend of mine and we did this exact thing. It's mind and body. Like Westerners are so stuck in the mind in the United States. It's mind, 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 mind. There's so many things to do, so many obligations. Oh my God. Roof above my head, the kids for school, the money. It's like fear, 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 fear. Everywhere you turn around, you have to survive
Hmm.
because you're part of the system that does exactly that. Threatens, 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 threatens all the time. And when the money is not an issue, then the health is issue. Then we
Yeah.
have threatening, threatening, threat.
Relationships.
The relationship, then,
Hmm.
you know, not being validated, then not being seen, finding a soulmate, seeking, searching, seeking, searching. It's like it never ends. But you got to do something about it. It's a hard work to look yourself into the eyes and find the
Hmm.
path to you. Very hard work.
Hmm. I have a
And
ghost. Let me shut the door real quick.
you have a ghost?
Yeah, the wind.
Oh, I was like, what's his name?
Stephen.
Ooh, that's how, you know, that's the story of my dad. It's like there's when you lose your mind is already crazy, let's say, unless untamed or unless you're aware of it. And when you lose your mind or your mind takes over, like it will do everything to destroy you. Unfortunately, that's the truth. To destroy you. Like to give you so much pleasure, so much money, so much pleasure, so much fakeness, meaning so much something that you think it is true of you on that total subatomical level, which is almost like a trap. Like, right? So it's almost like that balance between the light and the, like what is enlightenment, really? It's not reaching anywhere out there. It's actually getting rid of all these chains that we're pulled again and again and again. And it goes like this and this and this and this. And one day you're happy, the other one you're miserable. One day you're full of pleasure, or the other day you're full in agony. Oh, but what do we know? We just keep trying. Shall we start?
Well, yeah, I would argue we've been in it, but
Yeah, we're deep in it. Okay. Oh. So I highlighted a bunch of stuff here, but I'll let you lead because I have said a lot.
190. So I just want to read about the gaps because we mentioned it a couple times.
Okay.
Every cycle of addiction has natural gaps within it, and human beings experience these gaps in awareness. They can occur at any time, and they confront you directly with your own suffering. At such times, you will generally feel a profound sense of emptiness that is deeply uncomfortable. Our general response to these gaps in awareness is to try to avoid them, either through numbing ourselves or distracting ourselves. And this is how people don't really change. So we can adopt like small changes in our environment or the clothes we wear or the the world outside of us, but we don't actually make changes to our patterns in our relationships, into the way we work, how we think, like the way we even operate or like view ourselves in the world. Like those deeper changes, they come out of the gaps and then just allowing states of discomfort. And in that video you sent to me, it was like, how do you destroy the youth or the world? Is you make things very comfortable, very cozy, very easy, because that trains the mental bodies that we have to always seek comfort, because anything other than that should be avoided at all costs, because that's that's a reflection of society given back to us. So like something as deep and difficult as a 10-day Vipassana is an act of rebellion and a world of comfort. And that is like you're stepping into a leadership role energetically to say, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing it because it resonates, because I can feel the importance, the weight of it behind stepping in. And like you really are a leader to go with that level of trust, surrender.
No, I mean, it's hard to take that, but it's hard to take a compliment. As you know, I'm not really that great of it. But I almost like you have to be ready for it, right? And so to me, it's like, what makes me ready? Curiosity about myself. Yeah, I want to be curious about myself. I want to know why I suffer. I really want to, and that's that phase in life or a lifetime where you start questioning everything, like your purpose, like why am I here? Why do people suffer? Why did my dad do that? Why is my mom doing that? Right? So it's like you start being totally confused on why is it so hard? Why is it so complicated, right? And you genuinely want to know because not that you want to get rid of it. At some point, Yes, you want to get rid of it inside, but you never know, is this the end? Right? And then you're seeking, you're getting curious, and when everything there is exhausted as a resource, so you get so tired and confused, there is no, or there's no way other than to you.
Yeah.
Like you have no way to escape anywhere other than find the refugee inside of self.
Mhm.
And then the exploration starts. And then you actually don't even have a time to be bothered by someone else's drama, cycle back and ego. And, like you remember the woman who came on our podcast that meditates
Yeah.
5
Mhm.
hours? I thought about her too, because she came up, you see,
I was
and
thinking, I was like,
I was
I
like, go ahead,
was just gonna say,
tell
I
me.
I figured it would come up for you, but
Yeah,
I
but you
want
see, I don't know, was it wrong or was it right? Who cares?
Mhm.
What I know is that at that moment was a data point. A
and
data
it
point.
and to
Mhm.
recall it for the viewer, it didn't feel resonant to you at the time. Something felt off about it.
Okay, yes. So it's the energy, I think. But the energy, again, it can be my projection towards someone who I don't know. Totally. It's everything is our projection. We don't know, is the energy exchange happening on the subatomical level. We heard it somewhere that it's happening, that we are energy and we're just flowing and bending each other's space, right? But we don't know. How do you experience that, right?
Mhm.
So there was the discomfort. And when the discomfort happens, rather than rejecting it, freezing, reacting to it or freezing against it, it's the curiosity of it,
Mhm.
about it. Like, why am I uncomfortable? Like, my mind can easily come up with the mind, we're not from the same planet, we don't belong in the same tribe. You're meditating a different religion. Like, I can name the things why we shouldn't cross paths, but we did. Right?
Mhm.
The fact of the matter is that we did, and you were part of it and we were all part of it, so we had a chance. That moment happened and occurred, and we all learned something from it. Now, all I have left is now the curiosity about it. So, and just to give you the example, so how they describe sankharas, or these like attachments, are like you take a finger and you draw a line in a river and the river takes it away, right? So it's short lived. And then you take a figure, like a finger, and you draw a line in the sand and the wave comes overnight and takes it away. And then you
Mhm.
take and make a line in the rock solid stone, and that's the one that stays for centuries, which is again and again and again. So these
Mhm.
heavy attachments, these heavy feelings that we have, these projections, these mental states where they cycle back again and again and again through relationships, through partnerships, through work, through self-worth, self-esteem. It's almost like it's doing its own thing, is what we come back, so-called, with the teaching. Again, we don't know, is it true? The truth of the matter is that they are still there. They're heavy. They're activators. They're triggers, right, for us. So rather than me blaming her for not being open and just pointing out externally, like that's her way at her time in life. Like, how about she deals with that and I deal with my reaction to that? So my reaction to that was very much authority come in my way, an authority who tells me that I'm wrong and you're right. So it doesn't matter who says it. The reaction is still there. It will still remain there. It can either apply to work, it can apply during the podcast here. My reaction to that sort of perception is very much what I have to deal with. There's nobody else other than me that will deal with this. So it
Mm.
doesn't matter. She was just an example. She was just a catalyst to trigger me, for me to be aware and be curious about that exact trigger and thing.
Mm. If we all are essentially processing information with our senses, like you mentioned, the six states of consciousness. Well, not state, but like touch is a form of consciousness, taste, sight, smell, sound.
Mm-hmm.
Then essentially, because we're computers, like getting triggered is almost like receiving data that we can't place, or it doesn't, or it feels like a threat maybe to our system. Like, how do you view, I'm thinking of like, if I just sat here and I said something to piss you off,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
you have a moment of like, okay, I could react, or I could, maybe this is how Eric is. Like, he finds the words to challenge my beliefs, and then I get to choose how to respond to it. I'm just thinking through for myself because, like, I get triggered all the time.
Mm,
But maybe a different way to look at triggers. Can we like metaphorically apply this to like the sense consciousness?
totally. So it's all about, okay, so tell me the example when you were triggered recently. But trigger meaning there was an information and data that came to you. Your
Hmm.
eyes, you saw, you heard something, you read something. And then there's this like sensation that came into your body in a form of anger, pain, discomfort, some sort of comfort or discomfort, both sides.
Ooh. Well, I can think of an easy one. I don't know if it's gonna be like you'll be able to use it, but Jace, my 3-year-old, has been sticking his tongue out like defiantly
Mm-hmm.
to his mom and sometimes to me, like when he's usually when he's tired, but he'll do that, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, this is not okay. Who taught you this?
From here, or you feel actually,
No, yeah, yeah. It's like a physical, like, I'm gonna put your tongue back in your mouth. Like I have to like breathe, stay
so
calm.
what's the emotion? What's the emotion?
Um, there's well, it's anger rooted in some kind of fear, like loss of control.
Mm. And how does it, loss of control and anger, how does it show in your body?
Probably just tension.
Where?
Neck and shoulders,
Mm.
jaw.
So you fire up here.
Mhm.
So in the moment of that, let's say he comes in, sticks the tongue out, and you're like automatic. So are you able to figure out, is the sensation coming first? Or is your mind actually ruling, saying that's wrong?
Mm. Oh, good question. I'm intuiting that it's actually mind telling body here because he's when he first did it, I had the strongest reaction to it. And it was almost like a belief system or framework of like, this is not okay. You can't let your child do this.
Mhm.
And then now that I've seen him do it like three, 4 or 5 times, I'm like almost non-reactive. I'm just like, okay, he's tired. And then
Mm.
so it almost feels like there's a filter that happens and it's like instantaneous.
That's the trick. So the origination of your reaction is your mind.
And the story that I have.
Yes. So your mind is telling you what you need to feel, and you're reacting to it because you're following your mind one step. The feeling of anger and tension, it's like, ah, you're cooking, and reaction to it. So when we know these steps and how quickly they happen, actually in a split second. So
Hmm.
there are certain sensations in the body that are involuntary, and one of them is heart beating, right? The blood circulating through the. It's almost like you can't tell your heart how to beat. You
Yeah.
can tell your hormones how to move faster here or blood to circulate up and down that many times. They're simply involuntary. But what your mind can do is create the story that causes you very much to have a heart palpitations. like for your heart to start racing so much that actually causes the anxiety. And you feel like your chest is about to explode.
Mm-hmm.
This is real stuff. And we don't know because it happens in a split second. And it happens because the seed is in your mind. And then the domino effect causes you to actually react to it. But if you catch it before it gets to your body, even when it gets to your body, and you know that those are the steps that automatically happen to you because you were programmed to do that exact thing many times, and you actually do not react, you just sit and you wait until the sensation in the body passes. See what happens afterwards and recreate the same scene and see, will you have the body sensation? We react to sensations. We don't react to the stories. It's what is causing us to feel fiery inside, angry, hate, full of hate, disgust, like that contraction. And we have to do something about it because it's too much to handle.
Mm-hmm.
And we often burst outside. It's never actually, oh, but this is me. It has nothing to do with my kids. It actually is my reaction, my mind causes it. Let me see what happens if I just sit here. What will happen? Will the world be destroyed? Will I
Mm-hmm.
die? So if you're able to sit with the sensation, very hard to catch. I had it yesterday, actually. Taxes. I've done my taxes. I'm
Yeah.
mad every year. I do my taxes. Holy moly. Who do
Yep.
you think you are? The authority, like, da, 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 da. Oh, mind. A menu, 17 pages. I can choose which story, and it tells everything. Fire, fire, anger. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, get it out of my system, get it out of my system. We actually, if you were just to sit with it, you remember we talked about it. It was one of the jinkies that we talked about. If we just sit in the mud of it, you feel that? Feel that too. Feel
Mm-hmm.
like shit? Feel it. Feel it. And this is how you process
Mm-hmm.
and you don't react. It's the mind needs to know that you're not going to react to what it feeds you.
Mm-hmm.
And only you can train it.
Yeah.
And that you
So
can
it's like,
train when you're aware of it.
yeah. And the awareness
Mm.
is, that's interesting. Going
Mm-hmm.
back, he just says every cycle of addiction has natural gaps within it, and human beings experience these gaps in awareness. Confront you
Mm-hmm.
directly with your own suffering. But it's almost like we reverse train awareness by introducing gaps. Does that make
Or,
sense?
or the gaps happen and something clicks for you to grow your awareness more and more and more and more. And you use the awareness to train yourself to recognize the gaps that naturally occur.
Okay.
Are you out of your mind? I wish. Right?
Eventually, when this life ends.
Right? That's the awareness. That's the gap. It's like, holy moly. Are you out of your mind? I am working on it.
One day at a
Seriously.
time.
Yeah.
Um, Nothing external can bring an end to your suffering since it is rooted deep within your DNA. Only when you turn inward and look for the source of your suffering will you finally face the addictive quality of your own mind. And I
Mhm.
love this part. He says the programming partner of 24 is 44, interference, which is responsible for the dysfunctional relationships that occur across our planet and which are the current norm. So this dysfunction is a byproduct of the universal glitch in the genetic operating system of humanity and is reinforced by the 24th shadow.
Mm.
Addiction is the constant replaying of the same perceptive frame with no pause between frames, and this is what happens at a synaptic level within the brain chemistry of an average human. See,
We're
and
addicted to
that's
thinking. Hmm.
yeah. And but like I want to key in on this because I almost think I should say only what I know. It sounds like in your language in speaking about this that you have an optimistic belief that most human beings know when they are in these like hamster wheels.
No, I have an optimistic belief that we can learn. We have
Yes.
capacity and capability of learning this
Mhm.
exact skill.
Yeah. And I would just say we need someone to show us or shake us so that we can like fall out of the hamster wheel and be like, "What? We were running this whole time." No wonder I'm so tired.
But is that even enough? That's my like, unfortunately it takes shock, it takes
Yeah, yeah,
crisis, it takes something like, we talked about this last time too. Why do people meditate? Not because they're happy. You meditate when there's nothing else you can do and you want to shut down. Like you're literally like want to escape all your misery. And then
yeah.
you sit there every day and you meditate for the entire year until you learn the skill. But yet you're still here, right? So
Yeah.
Buddha got enlightened apparently in 35 and stayed until 54 to
Mhm.
teach, to teach, to teach, to teach. And he didn't teach entire humanity, he taught only the ones that were ready to receive it. And
Mhm.
but my question is, how and when do you become ready? And how do you actually learn, right? So what changes? What is the difference between old soul and young soul? Is that even a truth, right? So we can
I don't
speak.
think so.
Yeah, you can Ramdas, Maharashi,
Yeah.
Buddha, like all these Osho, all Sadgurus. These people come and they speak and say and teach. But
Hmm.
yet, not everybody comes in. In Vipassana, this was my first time going. There are people coming there 18 times doing
Yeah.
exact same thing again and again. And some never come back. It's either for you or it's not. But you don't know until you try.
Hmm. Okay. Good segue to say, because he even says the question then is, how do you escape the wheel of addiction and reset the program to run without the glitch? The full answer to this is in the 24th gift. But in a nutshell, the very realization that you're in an addictive pattern begins to shift the programming. And your willingness to confront your mind creates a necessary pause between the frames, allowing the mental body to disentangle itself from the astral body. When this happens the first time, the astral body and its cravings are no longer fueled by the grasping of your mind, and you go much deeper into the source of your suffering. And this, like, to me, this was a very clear framing of what is actually happening in this process of
Oh.
addiction, gaps, and then awareness is you're tangled, these two bodies, the mental body that is processing information, and then
Mm-hmm.
the astral body, which is about emotions and experience.
Mm.
And so
I
by,
love that.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
just, I'm like, perfect. Because to me, my experience of life itself is an untangling of many knots. And I'm not sure if the rope is even attached to anything, but I'm in the process of untangling.
I love it.
Yep. Climbing
I
up the
love
rope.
it.
It's not attached to anything. So I love that the gift then is invention. So he pointed to the way to release from addiction is somewhere in the gift of invention. And me putting myself out there on the internet and saying like, okay, I'm a writer now. I'm gonna do this thing. I have a newsletter. I'm doing YouTube videos. I'm I have an offering for service. If somebody wants to book a call.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I
And I'm
love
like,
it.
here we go, because I was challenged to do it, but also like in the challenging and accepting of it, I realize I'm like, by me being behind the computer screen and thinking that I'm figuring out the world, putting pieces together, but then my life isn't changing tangibly, you know. No one knows who I am. I don't know who I am. And I'm not going to know until I put myself out there and try to create something. And it's very profound that the Buddha was a prince. He was a very wealthy man when he decided to renounce everything and go on this path.
Mm.
And Naval Ravikant just did a podcast with Chris Williamson, and he referenced this and said you know, the recommendation for the path to like a strong mind and having your values in order first is to get wealthy, like become a success in business or in building a brand or creating something. Because in the creation of something that serves the world and of learning marketing and how to put yourself out there, it is also a process of self-discovery and untangling these knots that we have. Because until we
Okay.
get real feedback, we are just living in our own bubble of, yeah, I'm doing well, I have it figured out. And that's what I've been doing for 34 years.
Mm. So you're almost like taking steps to face your fears directly and actually experience them in order to learn something from them.
Hmm.
As
Yes.
if you are discovering these parts of yourself that you have shied away for so long or hid yourself away from.
Yeah. And I knew on for a while, I'd say 10 years, that I learned to fawn, play small, and be quiet to survive childhood. And um, but knowing isn't it wasn't doing anything for me. Like I
Mm.
would say it to people, like, oh yeah, I play small and I have a fear of rejection. And my biggest fear would be putting myself out there and then having nobody care. You know,
Mm.
like to really put myself out there. Like my
Mm.
passion. Like I'm gonna show you who I am, and then just to be like crickets.
And
Or
then what?
or hate, you know. Well, that's the thing. It's like, so what? And that's the part of creating is, are your eyes okay?
Oh yeah, it's just dry. It's just dry.
Um, is like the first newsletter piece I wrote, you know, I wrote for 24 hours. And then 4 weeks passed while I was waiting for this mic to come and the camera because I wanted to like package everything well and have it released at the same time. And so in the process of waiting, I'm writing my next newsletters. I have like four written. And then I'm going back through and I'm kind of editing to make sure it's clean. And as I'm going through it, I'm like, this is shit. I hate this.
Uh-huh. Catch. Okay, so let's go back to the bodies that he mentioned. And this is why I was waiting for you, because here is how, to me, it looks like. Not you, in general, how we process these bodies.
Mhm.
He mentions physical body, astral, and the mental, right?
Mhm.
So the physical body, where the seed of your DNA, truth, or authentic self sits. And then it's a layer on the top of it with astral body, which is all your pleasures, emotions, sensation. I'm gonna actually I highlighted here: sexuality, emotions, longing, craving, feelings, astral body. And then on the top of it is the mind.
Mhm.
And the mind is to escape the suffering, right? So the primal wound. Okay, so the physical, mental, the root of human suffering is a. Sorry, let me just find it because I was like, we need to address this. Oh, the mental body, the mind. Your mind reacts to the desire of the astral body and tries to think way out of the suffering. So you now have three layers. We have three layers, and one is mental. The other one is all the pleasures, all the suffering, all the emotions, all the sensations. And then you have the physical body. So, you know how through the coaching we did a lot of embodiment. Where do you feel it? How do you feel it? What is it? So, you're almost like taking your mind back into your body, because
Mhm.
sensation is happening, emotion is active right now in your body somewhere. And we're diving deep into embodying this emotion, not to do nothing with it, but rather than recognize the deep DNA by unlayering, going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and recognize that, oh, it's not there any longer. What happened with it? And the
Mhm.
moment you tap into that sensation and your mind just focuses right in it, that's that control of the mind. If you can, rather than list of things, us, meaning in general, if I can, rather than list my things of why I should not pay taxes every year, the more money I make, the more taxes I make. It's such a trap. It's like I can go on and on and on and on, rather
Mhm.
than, oh, there's a sensation, catch it. And once you catch it, because I have an anger I just want to feel where it is. Where is it? And once I tap into the sensation of the body is where that DNA starts being altered, like almost like you find the seed in it.
Yeah.
And there's this really cool story about putting the seed. What is the biggest tree in Hawaii called?
Oh,
Bankai or something like that.
yes. The name's escaping me right now.
The one with the massive roots and all
Hmm.
these like branches falling off, and it's like a 5,000 years old tree.
Hmm. Hmm.
It started from the seed. It
Hmm.
was a seed that then multiplied and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, and it became so strong that you cannot even, you can't kill it.
Hmm.
That's the mind. That's the seed. So the moment we become aware of it and we start diving deeper into it, and without that reaction, is literally embodying your feelings, feeling them until they pass, and sitting with it and sitting with it. So I want to just go back to the moment you pass test on one sensation, and you put yourself and you go down and you say, but this is my truth. Now I no longer feel fear to put myself out there. And I'm going to just do it because I have a gift and I believe in myself. I trust myself. There's this confidence that comes in you. You write a story, you put it out there. The second you do that, the mind does again, right? So the mind is
Yeah.
going to come in and tell you everything that you did wrong. But really, is it truth? Is it truth that
Mm.
you're going to get hatred? Is it truth that nobody's going to like it? Is it
Um,
true?
well,
Is it true that it's not worth that? Is it true that
yeah.
your voice that you speak out of your own life is less than anyone else? No, it is
Hmm.
not truth. And this is where you come back again, because your mind is going to give you troubles and sabotage all the time, especially, which is why coming back to which part of you you're operating from. So if I'm posting something from the bottom of my heart, no matter what my mind says, it's like I will know it is my truth. So finding that authentic voice to you, it does not matter if you have had a 10,000 workshops like me, or you just had a simple life. There is the authenticity in you that you discover that I may never be able to discover. You're
Hmm.
speaking from your uniqueness, from your unique root, that seed of yours, and you're working towards it. So the voice matters, but it matters from which one is actually generating it. Is it your mind, which is, whatever, the sabotage and trouble, or is it really truly you're speaking from your heart? And when you
Yeah.
do speak from your heart, it's almost altruistic. It's almost
Hmm.
like you don't need anything in return,
Hmm.
really. Your creation does not seek any validation, any feedback, any gift. And you receive gifts from completely different ways. Your gifts are
Hmm.
actually liberation of self.
Hmm. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, and
So
the critique I had on that piece that I wrote was like, oh, in 4 weeks, I can just see how much clarity, how much more clarity I have now compared to when I wrote it.
mhm.
So to then put it out, I'm like, it's like, yes, it was valuable at the time and it was from my heart at the time. It's almost just like a desire to be more current. And this is a little bit of my own fault for waiting and like letting things sit and then still putting it out. I could have just put it in the trash, but part of me wanted to like have it be part of the process and have it be public to show like the level of evolution, even for myself to look back on and
So
say,
it is
remember,
not.
it is not what?
Why? It is not public?
No, it's public.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And how do you feel about it now?
It's like at the time it was good for me and it was I was processing because what happened is I stepped away from this idea of who I was and instead was like, I'm just gonna give myself time to write and find clarity. And it was like, you know, all these memories come up, you know, when you have space. And so in writing, I'm like, okay, I have this story. I think it's relevant. Let me write it out and then let me mull it, see if I can even use it. And a lot of stories I didn't use. So it was almost like the early writing was very raw and in the sense of like I had a lot to process and it had been so long. Whereas
Mm.
now when I write, there's not as much getting in the way. So when I went to publish it and I look back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see how I was still confused. And
Mm.
I'm sure I'll continue to have that thought as I evolve and continue to create and try to improve my inventions. But it's interesting to be because you've put yourself out there. Carly's been putting herself out there, and when I share this perspective, I'm like, oh, it's a bit of like, I have to remind you guys that I'm like a baby in this world, writing and putting my face out and coming up with ideas.
Mm. But when you read, do you feel, like, but this is exactly the discovery of self,
Hmm.
right? This is exactly entering into the space unknown to you, yet that you never had a chance to actually look. You now are inside of you
Yeah.
and you have library
Hmm.
and you do not know all the books inside of you, but you're now reading one after another. You have something to say about it. And then there's another, and then you have something to say about it. It's almost like total self-exploration.
Right.
And you are diving right into it. And the door is yours, the space is big, you have a lot of work to do. The humbleness to enter into your almost like your own ancient texts. It's
Hmm.
like you're gonna discover shit,
Yeah.
right? And you're gonna need to process every single book, every single memory, every single thing. And you're gonna need to do it. And willingness to do it is your own path.
Hmm.
And as long as you feel something shifts or there is like this part of you that is proud of you, like almost like I did good for me. That's all that matters.
Hmm.
And I think this like wounding in us, the moment we start learning about what is it, what really scares me, is it the abandonment? Is it really coming from the childhood? Is it from the world? Is it like, it can be many different reasons. Like once you start really learning its smell and the texture and where is it coming from, and you can sit and write 10 books about one little item of yourself, but you're
Hmm.
speaking with the gentle part of you that is genuinely desiring to discover yourself. So you are putting your vulnerability in front of the public.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to face a lot of things. So now you need to prepare to receive the feedback if you are doing it for the feedback rather than your own self healing.
Yeah. 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 And so actually, this brings up the memory of when I accepted that I have a fear of rejection.
Mm.
So it was the acceptance of that, and then the acceptance of like, okay, the world's out to get you, so what? But in the acceptance of it, it came from like, I have a fear of rejection. And then I was like, wait a second, just let's talk about that. Like, from who? Who, like, what are you? Okay, a stranger, a mentor, like someone I look up to, that could be fearful. But then I was like, wait a second, I appreciate the cosmic perspective I have, that I can step into that world and see that all is perfect. And part of that, there's a polarity.
Mm.
There's the masculine and the feminine energies of the universe. And part of that is like, I can expect that 50% of all beings that exist, at least 50% will be rejected by my viewpoint. It won't resonate. And then
Mm.
I can expect that there's 50% that will enjoy it. And there's some part of that 50% that will resonate on a level that brings them into my world.
Mm.
And I just need to share. And I can expect that there will be both sides, and that's just the way of the world. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah. So I'm scared that there's a subset of people that won't agree or will call me names or have an issue with my perspective, but I'm just neglecting both sides of it. I'm just choosing to focus on
Mm.
one side.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's your chance to
Right.
learn about it when you get that reaction to hatred, or someone
Mhm.
actually putting you down, or someone devaluing your own value that you know and questioning. So you start doubting yourself. But really, if you really pay attention to it, it's all trickery of the mind.
Yeah.
It's like it is all designed. Your mind, you have to suffer per
Mhm.
mind's logic. You have to suffer. If you don't suffer, then go eat sugar. Pseudo pleasure. Go eat sugar, go drink, go smoke. Do something, but do not be present. Right? So it's like, it's so cool. And I love that, gosh, it's like there's genuinity in sharing the experience, but that's almost it. Just it's
Mhm.
sharing an experience is not changing someone profoundly. It's actually just a data point. That's all it is.
Mhm.
You like it or you don't. It's
Mhm.
useful for you or it's useless. You can take it or you can leave it. That's all.
Mhm.
The data point is our experience. And that's really what we can do for one another. But let me add, can I just add what else can we do for one
Mhm.
another? Support each other
Yeah, absolutely. Be kind.
and support from the bottom of our heart,
Mhm.
meaning see in each other what you desire to see in yourself,
Right.
but not be envy of it. Like it's really easy to say it, like it's hard to do it, but the only way to do it is really if you drop into your own heart and you become humble for yourself and you forgive yourself for making mistakes. You're trying. You're actually really doing your best every single second of your life. You, me, everybody else here.
Mhm.
Everybody's doing what they know the best.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
if we become aware of dropping back, you're like, oh, but this is not my best. I'm angry here. I'm anxious here. I'm sad here. I'm lonely here. Oh, it's okay. This too shall pass.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So why react? Oh my God, this was so good. I knew this is gonna be really, really cool. Can I, do you have more time? I know we're like
I
almost like,
do. I have this realization that
go ahead, share.
we're better when we don't have constraints. At least it feels that way.
You mean time
Yeah.
capsule?
Go ahead.
True. Okay, so related to the gift, resting in the gap invention, there's this one thing that I highlighted, and it goes, so when you get addicted, it goes in circles.
Hmm.
Addiction goes thinks addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot. It's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that is a perfect way to just remind you whatever you're putting out there is just the beginning of something that will just spiral and change and evolve and evolve and evolve and evolve more to become
Mhm.
bigger and
Mhm.
bigger and find its way. It's like we mentioned this in the last time. It's like you're writing first book when you're 35. Your first book is a bestseller. And then the publisher goes like, it's time for the second book. And 5 years later, you completely changed. Your second
Yeah.
book has nothing
Mhm.
to do with the first book,
Mhm.
but it's still part of you, right? So it's like I am an artist all the way up to 35, and suddenly I became a spiritual teacher. I change. It's okay to very much go against what you said, meaning not against, but actually evolve to the higher way of to the different way of looking at what you just wrote last week, for
Mhm.
example.
Mhm.
It's like it's normal. Like,
Mhm.
why is that wrong? You know,
Mhm.
it
Yeah, and
should
having
be, yeah,
and having having the courage
own it.
to own it, but like this analogy of the seed into the tree has been so present with me the last like 4 days. And then higher self has been another one that's just been like I'm exchanging ideas with other people and it just keeps coming up. And I'm kind of crafting this vision around these simple metaphors or analogies, but they are like too perfect. They're too perfect as an example for what we're going through. And the way I think about it is like, why does why does bamboo or king grass grow faster than a like thornberry bush or something like this? And the thought is because each phase of growth, you're more willing to fully put yourself out there. it's almost like your higher self will look back at where you are now and say, it's not about getting it right. It's just about who are you fully now and showing up in that person, and then
Yep.
let the cascading growth, like let that emanate from that point, because then you have a higher base to then step from for the next one.
100%. You know what this reminded me? Our
Hmm.
first episode we filmed.
Tell me about it.
Wow. We knew nothing. We didn't know what we were doing. We were like half shy, half afraid, freaked out, scared. We had ego going on. But we keep coming back to it and you keep, redo it and doing it again and dedicating and like almost like reprogramming
Yeah.
ourselves to trust into the space and dedication and really just follow that momentum again and again and again. This is our year 3, 2 or 3. Like we've been doing this for so long, so much so that now it feels very natural and comfortable to come into this place. The matter of fact, it's calling us to come back to it.
Yeah, there's almost like I was feeling this yesterday, today. I'm like, this is borderline. Like I'm like, I would just immerse myself in Gene Keys with Melissa if I could.
Right?
We talked about doing another episode. We'll have to discuss that more. But I'm like, there's it's all it's addictive. It's an addictive thing.
But it's also liberating and it's also teaching you the confidence. Like you actually are
Yeah.
freeing yourself by just doing it again and again and trying. You always bring your best to this call. Me too. And you and I went through back in the day, I don't know if you remember, we had troubles. We would come with struggles. Sometimes you
Yeah.
wouldn't talk, sometimes I wouldn't talk, but we showed up. And when
Hmm.
you put that seed in the soil, you give it the light, you give it the water. There's an effort. And the effort is very much my first article will be shit. But my 101st will be totally different. You actually know the evolution and you gain this like confidence in you more and more. You come back to that exact same space. You're
Hmm.
teaching yourself and almost like your whole system, mind, body, mind, soul, to come back to trust it again, because this thing does not trust anything because
Hmm.
we don't give it enough time to evolve to something that is meaningful and powerful in quality.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Well said. Shall we just touch base on silence quickly?
Sure.
It's important. I don't want to give up of this. This is so good. Okay. I have. Mm. It goes like silence is a natural background state of all human awareness,
Hmm.
and it can only occur when thinking ceases entirely.
Hmm.
And when does our thinking cease? On its own, cannot happen. With our effort, it's possible. It's possible. Sometimes I sit actually every day I sit in meditation, 30 minutes.
Hmm.
Sit still. We're supposed to do 1 hour before and after twice a day. I'm like, I can only allot 30 minutes. And you sit and your mind is thinking. The difference, and so I asked my teacher, what do I do with this voice? Like it just goes. It wakes up with a song, it comes up with a to-dos. It's like humming, again, teachers, mantras, doing constantly. She's like, just let it do. You're here. It's the voice is not you. You're
Yeah.
actually just aware. Let it. And try to bring it. But if it doesn't want, let it. The awareness of the voice behind it is what matters. It will non-stop. So we are trying our best always to bring it back to silence. And I guess that's where the silence can occur as a gift
Hmm.
for us to find our true
Yeah.
authentic selves.
And I love out of the box techniques, out of what am I trying to say? Unconventional techniques to introduce silence, whether it's Zen or paradox. And he gives some really good stuff here. So I just want to read it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The silence of the 24th city is a silence that descends on you, even though it already lives inside you.
Mm-hmm.
It occurs as a result of the shift in the inner geography of human awareness. True silence reigns when the mechanism controlling your awareness moves your head down into your solar plexus. You cannot say that silence is experienced because silence invokes the paradox of there no longer being an experiencer to have an experience. Silence negates everything, fusing together both subject and object. For awareness to shift in this way, some kind of physical mutation has to occur within the human body. Certain chemicals must be created by the endocrine system that prevent the process of normal acoustic thinking. You no longer think, but are thought by life.
Hmm.
This is not something that can be described.
Mm-hmm. So
Hmm.
good. But it's possible.
Yeah. And I firmly believe there's two paths along this spiritual journey. And one is the method of control, like the yogic path. And the other is the method of randomness, art,
Is this,
paradox.
is this Naval
I
Ravikant?
don't know. This is probably many, many influences.
I love that. I actually asked one of the teachers. So I'm going on this anyway. One of the books that I'm reading is related to the uniqueness of self, right? And he
Mhm.
speaks about a lot of efforts, a lot of teaching, a lot of you have to do a lot of work first.
Mhm.
And then my question was, and so I attended a couple of his calls, and I was like, well, at what point does the law of randomness rather than law of attraction, when does the law of randomness apply? And is it possible? He's like, it's equally possible as the law of attraction.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that we simply don't know anything.
Yes.
We can only assume a lot of things, almost like
Mhm.
everything is assumption unless there's an experience.
Mhm.
So I
And
wish there's a law of randomness.
there's a gradient of precision of experience.
Mm.
So in my mind, something like alcohol makes you dull to experience.
Mm. What do you
Where
mean by gradient? Like,
um, there's a potential absolute sharpness of experience and a potential like emptiness, like the nothingness at the other end.
mm,
Just to introduce a concept or like a thematic element to grade your levels of experience in the day to day. Because when you have like a moment, like you meet your soulmate
mm,
and you're just staring at each other, like that is a very sharp experience. Like you have crisp memories, your consciousness is firing, and your monkey mind is pretty silent in that state.
mm. Isn't it interesting? Because you're speaking about love, experiencing love,
Yeah.
or allurement or attraction towards another person. And yet your mind has not to say about it. Meaning, yes, love is blind,
Yeah, yeah. Blind to the mind.
blind to the mind. And then 2 years later, you wake up next to this person. It's like, who in the world is this? I don't know. Like you suddenly just like see this person because your mind was just not there. We don't know. Is it your mind that was not there, or was it your mind that was just like full of like, oh yes, go for it. You're right. This is the true thing. This is your. I actually, here's a good example. I had a client 2 weeks ago before Vipassana. And one of the things that we did was very much, I took 2 sessions to actually go deeply into this desire. And the desire was profoundly like, okay, these resistances are coming up, and there are like 7 of them came up at the same time. I was like, I have time. We're going to address every single one if you have energy for it. So it was very much, I
Yeah.
want to know, is this what it is that I want to do? Because it's the story that carried over a long time. So is this still true for me? So let's feel it. And we came to the conclusion, it's almost like aha after aha moment after aha. And it was almost like, oh, I have to do something about this. So the eyes, and after 2 hours of just digging and diving and kind of discussing these parts, was like, you would think it became clear. Watch this. Because it was so much, I was like, it was such a stare, such a, realization that your eyes opened up so much. But yet she goes, I have to go and do something about it. I was like, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. It is what your mind discover. You don't have to take any action when it comes to your mind's telling you what you have to do. Feel this in your body. And
Yeah.
unless I said that, she would probably react to it again, right? So it's not the mind coming up with the list of things you have to do. It is it is almost like experience of what your mind is telling you. Is that true for you?
Mhm.
Does it feel in your body as the truth? That's a different layer of like really knowing yourself. And you really don't know unless you experience that. I keep
Mhm.
spinning in the same exact thing again and again. Experience it, experience it. I love it.
Yeah. The only
Mm.
truth is gnosis experience.
What is, what if this it's true, what Richard is saying here, that we are the box for consciousness, the tool, body,
What do you mean?
the body, the body is a radio station, a radio, a stereo where all these information comes from, but it's actually holds the consciousness that we are yet to discover, the body, the vehicle,
Yeah.
the tool, the box, our tool. What if everything is to be experienced through the box, through the tool, through the body, and very much not through the mind?
Hmm. Well, I think that's an invitation for a much different way to go about the world. This brings up a story. So the recent eclipse,
Mm-hmm.
not the solar one, the lunar one, it was like mid-March, I think. Yeah, March
Mm-hmm.
14th. The Friday, so 2 days after that, we went to this place called Narnia on the Big Island, and we were jumping in waterfalls and playing with the kids, all this fun stuff. And we were just about to leave, and there was like one more place that Carly wanted us to see. And so I was swimming out with my friends and Luca, and we climbed up a rock, and I was like, okay, like, Luca, do you want to jump from here? And he was like a little nervous. I'm like, okay, let's go down a little bit. We were maybe like 15 feet up, and we went to like 8 feet, you know. He's a great swimmer for a 5-year-old. And
Oh, wow.
so he jumped in and was like, good to go. And then I went to jump in, and I was feeling like energy and excitement and like I'm gonna be a little wild. So I did a front flip into the water and came up and was like, something isn't right. And I put my feet down on a rock and like stood up. And I was like, oh, my foot isn't good. And I was just like trying to swim, but I couldn't move my foot. And I looked at my friends and I was like, this is pretty shallow. And they were like, yeah, it's really shallow. They didn't see that I jumped in. So I swam back. I got out of the water, and our other two kids were just having a huge fit, and they were just like screaming for me. I was like out of view, and they were like panicked, like, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Carly's like, they just want you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because they can feel that this thing happened. And I'm like, my foot is not
Wow.
okay. It's not good. I looked down and it was like immediately swelling. There was blood on it. And I was like, so it was a 2 mile hike up the mountain to get to this place. And we had three kids. Two of them needed to be carried. And we had two backpacks. And
Wow.
Carly was like asking all these questions. And I said, Carly, I need to start walking right now. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to make it down. And we're going to be in trouble
Wow.
because they say it's off limits because they won't do rescues there with like helicopters and stuff, which they do, but I'm like, I got to start walking. Otherwise, this thing's going to swell up. I'm not going to be able to walk at all. So I got to walk with Koa on my back in a backpack, Jace on my front. They both fell asleep, holding me. So I'm getting embraced by my sons, and I'm walking in excruciating pain for 2 miles. And I had like, I'm like, okay, this is a good time to process tons of shit. And it was so beautiful, so painful. But I was so grateful to be sober, to be intentional about the experience, and then to be curious about things that were coming up. Like I was having um at this time I had decided to put myself out there, and then this event happened, and part of the ego is like, see, this is what happens. And then I'm like, no, this isn't related. I'm like, actually, this is my right foot. Before I came to Hawaii, I got hit by a truck on my left side at my hip, and it's left side feminine. It was like the need to be at home, like close to my mom, um, play it small, play it safe, stay close to family, this sort of thing. I got hit my right foot, and the foot is like, it's like your actions, like how you're moving forward in life. And it was my right foot masculine side. And I was like, oh my gosh, so many men in my family have accepted the narrative of who they're supposed to be in the world to compromise parts of themselves so that they can earn a living. And in a sense, like I have to sacrifice to feed my family, or I have to sacrifice to get the promotion, or I have to be someone that I don't actually resonate with. And, like the men in my family, much like a lot of men in the world, they have the midlife crisis. And I think that occurs when you're not living true to who you are. And so
Mm.
that hit me, and it was like, not only am I crying for myself for accepting this level of like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna put myself out there, but it was also like, thank you, forefathers, thank you, ancestors, for giving me the opportunity, because, there's certainly a world where I would be forced to compromise and I couldn't be free to take this action. So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing. This body is so incredible, and that much of what we experience is so dull compared to what we can have happen in our bodies. And if we tune into it, like the work you're doing is so beautiful, because breath, movement, and sound are the ways to attune the body and step into it more. And like, I'm grateful for that work as well, because without that, and that's what I was doing the whole walk. I was like, oh, and then crying, and then breathe. I'm like breathing. And then I would have these moments after like a 10-minute purge in a way where I'm like really clear thinking. And then it would come back into pain, and then I'd have to process more. I'm like, oh my God, like ultimately, I'm not one to say like everything happens for a reason and be like everything's positive. I'm just like, there's a reason, and I can use this experience, or I can run from it and let the stories continue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt like that was relevant. And yeah,
So you didn't have where to go than to feel it all.
yeah, right. I was like, uh, um, this is it. It was profound though, like processing like the ancestral stuff with my two sons, like hugging me asleep. I'm like, this is just wild. It was like the experience of polarity, just was just like, I'm like surrounded in love, giving love, processing fear, and yeah,
It's a
just
lot at once to be aware of, to feel, to
yeah,
process. It's like when you see the power and the capacity of yours like that, it's like, wow, I can take a lot.
Yeah.
I can take a lot and do nothing with it. Sit still in it because there's nowhere I can go. Cliff on the left, cliff on the right. There's only one way forward. And you're in this body, excruciating pain, embraced with so much love from your children. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like where else can you go
Mm-hmm.
other than inside?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love, lots of self, lots of love,
Mm-hmm.
lots of love inside for everything that there is, including pain,
Yeah.
including pleasure. So good. Thanks for sharing. How is your foot now?
It's good. Um,
Can you walk?
yeah, yeah. I
Did you?
I think it's a light sprain, but it was like because I put my my slipper on and walked the 2 miles with the slipper, and it swelled up to where um the shoe was, and it was like bulging like this.
Your
I looked
heel?
down after after the hike, and I was like, that doesn't look good at all. And I thought maybe I'm like, I don't think I broke it because I wouldn't be able to walk.
Mm.
I'm like, I mean, I've heard stories of people doing it, but I'm like, I had enough awareness where I'm like, I could just sit down, I could lay down here, and I chose not to. So the pain wasn't like, it wasn't putting me out of consciousness. I mean, there's a couple moments where I was like major tunnel vision, but um, and I take these experiences. I'm like, there's obviously lessons around personal safety and decision making, like check the depth of the water before you jump in. And grateful I didn't dive in. Grateful I didn't send Luca in that spot. Like, there's also like a lot of that emotion. Um, but
Wow.
when I get injured like this, I'm like, this is an opportunity to feel profoundly. And so I like call me psychotic or whatever, but I'm like, I'm not going to take pain meds. I'm not going to go see a doctor. I'm not going to. And bless Carly's heart, it helped her process a lot too, because when I get sick or injured, she this is like our trauma bond or our whatever you call it. She isolates. She withdraws completely all love because she's trying to protect her own self and like
Mm.
she thinks like I'm gonna be out of commission, so she has to find a way. And she goes into this story around stress and sacrifice, and so we both got to do so much work in this, and it was like 2 days later, and I started kind of hobbling, and then about a week later, I was able to get around and do normal activities. My foot didn't look good. People would like make comments about it, but
Wow.
it's all good. Yeah.
But the fact that you're aware of, you know, exactly what is happening, not only inside of you, but also in your direct surroundings, it's like, did you hear the level of awareness that you
Well, do you want to
possess?
know why I was so fucking aware of this?
Why?
Because that was harder because I grew up like somewhat emotionally isolated, you could say neglected. Um, but not being validated for like my feelings, my level of sensitivity and kind of like how much I was processing. I just had to like figure out what to do with it.
Mhm.
So with a partner, I'm like very needy and getting sick or injured. I'm like, what do you mean you're not available? And so it was like it was like harder than the actual injury was the
Mm.
first couple days of like, what do I do? Like, and I've tried everything before, like, so what I ended up doing was like putting myself in the situation of you get to rest as much as you need, but know the difference because you used to milk this opportunity and like this is what we do as humans. okay, you're sick or injured, you're getting taken care of, like just get a little bit more out of it because your needs haven't been met. And this time
Mm.
I'm like getting up when I probably shouldn't be, like cleaning, like doing dishes with my foot up, or I'm just like taking the extra step. And that wasn't, I was like, I'll do anything to get some love from her. And that wasn't working. In fact, she was like catastrophizing on her side. So, um, yeah, maybe we could talk about this for a while, but I just want to say that we ended up getting to a great place where we could talk openly about what she was feeling and experiencing. And I wasn't in a place of hurt because that would shut her down. And then after I allowed her processing, she came around to like seeing it. Then she was able to like zoom out and be like, but this isn't fair to you because you're the one that's injured. And I'm like, of course, but it's, life isn't always fair. We get what we need to evolve and to experience life for everything
Mm.
that it has to offer. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, and since then, our love has just been really, really good.
Recapture the rapture. It's not about the rapture, it's about the repair.
Mm.
And that comes with very much like, you know, being almost like being able and so regulated, which takes time after the shock of every type of shocks and fears that just attack you automatically. And once you get regulated, you sit down, you just open yourself up to vulnerability to this person, another soul who needs to meet you halfway. And then you're putting yourself on the table saying, but I don't know why, but this is what I need.
Yeah.
And in that right moment, there is an ear that has to hear you and has to be ready to receive what you have to give to. And the way you two work things out and recapture the rapture or repair after the raptures is like brilliant. And I think it's just so that's what relationships needs to learn. People in relationships need to learn. It's not about me. It's not about because we're gonna have the reactions, right?
Yeah.
So unless you are enlightened and you know exactly how to control your reactions and how to catch them and be aware of them, which is a life path, right? So, but it's so beautiful,
Thank
you
you.
know. Um, Asking for love is just it. Even who said that? It's like there's two major emotions, fear and love, but fear is actually love. And if I'm fearing you're not loving me, I'm actually just asking for love.
Yeah.
So the bottom, the seeds of both sides is ultimately the love.
Yeah. Yeah. And in contemplating fear of rejection, I'm like, by hyper focusing on that polarity, I'm rejecting the concept of love, of acceptance. I'm just not seeing it because our evolutionary minds are so tuned to fear because that's enabled us to survive a lot longer. And so it takes a lot of rewiring and a lot of space and a lot of practice.
And oh, again, I sound like a broken record. There's nowhere to go than inside your body.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm feeling now. It's not what I think I'm feeling. This is exactly actually what I'm feeling. I feel closed. My heart's closed. But that doesn't mean I love you less. Actually, it means I just need the time. I'll be right back.
Mhm. Well, and if we're truly honest, like we don't always know. We say that to like appease someone, like I still love you, I just need to figure this out. But in reality, we're like, if you're deeply experiencing it, you're like, I don't know what's going on. I just have to figure this out.
Mhm.
And then, that takes talk about like relationship maturity, like the level of trust to just be in it. I'm so grateful, Melissa. I'm so grateful that we did Gene Keys because I don't remember where I read it, but at one point, Richard was like, oh, it was when I was doing Venus sequence.
Mm,
He said, you will probably want to escape your relationships, your primary relationships at some point.
mm,
Don't, for the love of whatever we're doing, don't run from them because you'll just manifest a new version. And I was so close to running away, and it was like the richness of the evolution now is so good. I didn't know it was as possible. Or I didn't know that this depth could be possible. I'm just grateful.
But that feeling of connecting on a deeper level, and we sidetrack from jinkies a lot to the real life examples, and I think it's in its own, it's healing, and we are witnessing each other evolving, and it's right here in front of our eyes through rawness, vulnerability, the pain, the suffering, the happiness, the exploration, the adventure. It's all of it that we have been going through separately, and you know, for nothing. Yet the spiritual gifts, the gifts of quality, of depth that you discovered in yourself, as I discovered in myself, we're completely different individuals, and we actually evolved to even be more different than we were in the beginning. So I'm thankful too for devotion and dedication to come back to the space and let it unfold, whatever. And, it's like I don't think I could do this with anybody else who is not ready to enter into the unknown, because we did not know what we're entering into.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Thank you for
Oh,
leading us there.
no, we did it together. It's not you came up actually with this idea.
No,
You
what do you
reached out to
mean?
me. What
No.
was No, but no, but you reached out. And then I came up with the idea. And
Oh,
then you
okay,
were
okay,
like,
okay,
totally
okay.
yes. But you reached
Yeah,
out like 2 years later.
yeah. But your
Is
idea, hey, do you want to do Jinkies with me? I'm like,
yeah.
yes. I remember before I responded to you, I ran to Carly and I showed her, like, look. She's like, oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's beautiful. It's so powerful to honor and open up vulnerably to someone who is ready to receive you, and where you can almost exchange, like, how they always say, like, we are wired for connection, we need to have the connection. But there's different level of connections, different types
Mm,
of love, different types of connections that you need at different times of your life. So it's, of course it's going to end, of course it's not going to last forever, of course there's impermanence in it, like, but while it lasts, it has its own quality to change you and make you have you help you evolve together.
mm,
And this level of quality has to be mutual, right? It's almost like both sides benefit. Same way, like you and Carly, when you get into that space and intention into, oh, but this is what I am, this is what you are. You don't change the individual sides, but you blend the colors so much that this both of you benefit from it. Both of you, which is where the love comes in stronger,
mhm,
right? So it's like this is big, big deal to connect to such a level of quality with another soul, with another energy at the right time, right place, doing the right thing, not knowing
mhm.
what you're putting yourself into. It's like, how oblivious we, but yet how foolish are we to trust into something we don't know?
Right.
Are
Yeah.
you out of your mind?
Yeah.
I wish.
The
I'm
first
working
card
on
in tarot, right? The Fool,
the fool. Yeah,
the one who
I think so.
experiences.
Yeah. So this was fabulous, and I think it deserves to be posted on the internet.
Yep, I'll get to it.
Oh, I'll send the recording and then I'll send it. Do you have your YouTube channel too?
Yeah.
Did you want to, because I'm planning on posting this on my YouTube channel. Do you want to do this on yours as well?
Let me think about that.
Okay. I mean, we don't have to do the jinky contemplations. We can just like chop. I mean, I was planning on putting it on mine and
Oh, like clips.
and the full thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll see. I'm mulling over like what does it mean to have a brand? You have bugs in there?
Wow, they're going on this light that
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
totally is like blinding me right now because everything is dark other than this light, but it looks good so far. This is like a first setup, but the bugs are plant flies.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Cool.
thank
I
you.
mean, you can do whatever you want.
Love
Until
you.
next time. Love you too. Okay.
Ciao.